Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the AOC Masters Tournament of 2021 for PUBG. My name is John P, joined by the wonderful Imperium again, and these players are here competing for their share of a $43,000 prize pool. We've already seen 4 days worth of absolutely chaotic PUBG gameplay. We're heading into the final stages now, Imperium, where we're sort of hitting that grand final stage. We're heading into our last 2 days.
The final 2 days, the final 8 games is upon us. We've got 4 today, 4 tomorrow. It's kind of, it's amazing how quickly these things go by, right? You know, we start on Tuesday and we're like, yeah, 24 games, you got a long run, and then boom, snap, and then we're in our final 8 games. So it really is up to these teams to really kind of lay a little bit more on the line and recognize the importance of where every single game is going to just matter that little bit more. Those chicken dinners become more relevant. The pressure becomes higher. That melting pot of action that's going to be upon us, it really is going to naturally become bigger and bigger for these teams. So I'm excited to get into it and see what teams do deal with that pressure the best.
Yeah, and it was we've been having a bit of a chat prior to the broadcast, and we've chatted obviously throughout the week as well, that there is still a lot of teams in this competition that can finish on top spot. It's going to be, don't get me wrong, a little bit hard for some teams more so than others. You've got to look at the likes of SGD, BLISS, eArena from the future. They're pretty sitting inside the top 4 right now. You know, only one chicken dinner separating them and a few matter of kills here or there. So you definitely have to look at those coming into today for a very solid performance. But one team we highlighted that we didn't even realize had so many kills and was popping off so much is the team of made in Thailand. They're currently second right now in terms of most kills, and they have a chicken dinner as well.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see that evolution and how Myth have played, finding their confidence, finding their form, finding their own strategy and play style. Or when I say find it, obviously they knew about it, but it's always, it can be sometimes a little bit more difficult in implementing it. And it's also even better to see when, at least in the top 3 kills so far, they have no player in the top 3 kills, but Esquilicia is very high up when it comes to the assists and stuff like that. And then you have 2 of their players in the top, I think 5 or top 10 of kills. So it is very much a massive team effort from the likes of Myth. So I've been very impressed with them, but they're not the only team, and they're not the only country that's being represented in this tournament, John. You have 16 teams from 7 countries. You have Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, Chinese Taipei, Indonesia, Vietnam, and of course, good old Australia, mate.
Yeah, and do you know what? That's better than I could have ever done. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's very solid there. I think I wouldn't tell the difference. I wouldn't know if you're Irish or Australian, mate. Honestly, I can confirm that. But yeah, we have got 16 teams from the 7 countries and regions competing, and well, they've been playing over the past 4 days already. We started this on the 2nd of November back on Tuesday, and we finish tomorrow. We're heading into 4 more matches this evening, matches 16 through to 20, and we're going to see 2 ERANGELs and 2 MIRAMARs once again. But the most important thing to highlight here, though, Imperium, is that thing at the bottom of your screen, which is the most chicken dinner rule.
And even the kind of the tiebreaker rule is really going to come into effect. We'll talk about it more as we get into the leaderboard and to kind of highlight the storyline aspects of the teams who are fighting for that #1 spot. And of course, the prize pool that's involved. It's a total of a $43,000 prize pool across a tournament. First place will get yourself $3,000, as well as a hell of a load of peripherals in terms of keyboard, mouse, headset, and a good old juicy, sexy, delicious AOC monitor. Second place will also get a monitor, $2,000, keyboard, headset. Third place, John, it's only a mouse and headset, but again, that monitor and $1,000 in your pocket, you won't complain.
Listen, if these players don't want either the mouse, headset, the AOC monitor, or for the $1,000 at that region, I definitely will be opening charity donation.
Please, sir.
Please, sir, may I have a AOC monitor? But let's take a little look at what teams we are going to be seeing. If you guys have only just joined, we've already had, like I said, 4 days worth of gameplay, and some of the teams here already, the likes of Team Bliss, I think they're sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now. Oh no, it actually might be eArena who's sitting at top, I think, maybe. But whoever's at the top of the team, at the top of the leaderboards, they are literally tied on kills. I think it's just that they got more kills in the game we saw last night at the end, which was the whole tiebreaker sort of situation. We'll explain later on. But got to be looking at the likes of Bao Nam United, Team Fury here to finally try and put a chicken dinner on the board. You got to think, if you're a fan of those teams, Imperium, you've probably got to try and win 2 games today to give yourself any sort of contention going into tomorrow.
That's a very good point to bring on board. If you haven't won a game like Bao Nam, like Fury, you need realistically to make your job just that little bit easier tomorrow in the final 4 matches. Yes, grabbing 2 chicken dinners today would be the best you could absolutely ask for. Individually, though, players that have stepped up to the plate massively. Shen, 27 kills, 5,000 damage, 42 headshots. This guy has been so integral in his team's success so far in this tournament.
Yeah, and I think, these 5 here, the MVPs thus far from the tournament in terms of the kill factor, but I would say probably the MVPs for their team at the moment as well. One player in particular, the likes of Sapnik and Monty for Team Bliss and eArena. You say anytime the 2 squads of Team Bliss or eArena are popping off, it's usually with them firing on all cylinders, leading the charge, or I say leading the charge, they're usually the players that sort of sit as that anchor role and try and play a little bit further back. Yeah. But you get what I mean, as they play it fantastically well. But you mentioned Shen sitting at 5,000 damage. He is not top of that damage leaderboard though. No. However, is there a few players I do believe just slightly ahead of him, and I think it's going to be Monty who is one of them, as he's at 6,800 damage. You got Flood there as well with 5,400, and doesn't surprise me here that we see these players pretty much again the players with the most kills. Other than Waikika Macau, he just creeps in there as well.
Yeah, like Team Bliss though, Monty specifically, he's like. It must be the hair. It must be the beard. Hell, it's got to be the beard. As someone with a beard myself, that is the source of all my power, all of my talent for the little that I have. So for Monty, it's got to be in the hair and the beard. And this guy is really being a big step up for his whole team across the range when it comes to that damage, when it comes to kills, when it comes to assists as well. But what I do love for Fury, despite them not getting a chicken dinner, having 2 players in the most damage, it does show that they really want to control these games. Unfortunately, what tends to happen every now and again is that they overstep their mark. They go a little bit too deep. They take 1 too many engagements, and then they end up getting taken out, and that stops them from grabbing a chicken dinner.
Yeah, well, talking of chicken dinners, it's going to be From the Future leading the way here on the leaderboards, as they have got 3 on the board. Just behind them, though, with only 1 kill difference, is the side of Team Bliss. But one team that very impressed me yesterday was the side of eArena in particular, other than From the Future, who I think, they may have won...
Yeah.
They won. Did they win 2 games yesterday from the future, or no? It was 1.
No,
they
won.
Oh no, we mentioned the fact that they'd won 3 games out of 4 days, right? So they'd won a game every day except from 1 day, right? Which is the consistency you're looking for. But as we go down here, I did mention the fact that we need to see Bao Nam and Fury try and pick up a chicken dinner today. I don't think they're going to do it, but one team I would like to see try and get that momentum swinging back in their favour is the likes of Colony. I think they were a fantastic start. Unfortunately, They have slowed down ever so slightly, but with that 1 chicken dinner still, they're not too far off making a bit of noise.
No, they're not at all. I think part of why Colony maybe looked a little bit weaker is, again, that simple thing of the teams adapting around them a little bit more, feeling themselves a lot more, getting that level of confidence on board, and just using that to shut down the likes of Colony, of course, across these matches. The predictions, do speak highly of a number of teams. You have Made in Thailand with the second highest kills being picked by a couple of the Thailand commentators, and then you have the Chinese Taipei picking SGD. Certainly looks good, but there is nobody, to be fair, that has picked the top 2 teams from the future and Team BLISS.
Yeah, there may be a few teams that came into this and slipped through the cracks ever so slightly, though. The Chinese Taipei casters with this double pick of SGD, they're definitely looking good in their predictions. But that's what we're going to see today, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, match 17 to match 20 will be played this evening for you, as we are going to see ERANGEL kicking things off today. And again, the one thing that I want to highlight towards ERANGEL is that Pachinki drop spot of SGD and the Expendables. We saw it time and time again over the course of the tournament. A lot of high engagement to start things off with, straight into the drop of Pachinki, and with them 2 teams already looking to be kind of towards the top of the leaderboards, it might get a little bit of crunch time.
It is. It's gonna get crunch time for sure. I'm feeling a lot more confident about ShuaiGeDui coming out on top in those fights, especially with how quick they were with the engagements across the 2 ERANGEL games yesterday. When you looked at the first 3 days, whether or not Expendables won or SGD won, it was normally an elongated 6-7 minute engagement. Whereas yesterday, I think it was 3 minutes or just under 3 minutes and just over 4 minutes for both engagements, both won by ShuaiGeDui. So to me, like, I'm okay with that when the engagement is super quick, because it really means that your rotation isn't delayed, your positioning isn't really as delayed, and you're able to focus a lot quicker into the incoming circles.
Yeah, I think one of the issues we saw between those 2 teams in particular that dropped at Pachinki was, what, like you mentioned, sometimes we saw like 12-minute long team fights in Pachinki, and it's like, you're fighting 12 minutes into the game and you still got like a standard weapon in your hand. You've not got some of the better weapons. You've not got the util to work with, and not only that, you're then forced to rotate straight off the bat. You can't really loot up and get anything apart from what your opponents have dropped you. And you're stuck in an awful situation going later on into the stage of the game. So I couldn't agree with you more there. But we are just waiting for our game to start up relatively soon. But do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, we got to say a huge shout out to our sponsors of the tournament, AOC. Of course, AOC not only provides us a super exciting event for us this week, but they also bring you guys at home lots more special offers in their store, depending on the country and the region that you are from. So for more information, please visit AOC Monitors via our Facebook page. And you can also keep up to date with all the tournament tracking on AOC Monitor as well. Or alternatively, you can check out Mineski TV _TH as well to keep up to date with everything and the live feed of the games. But Imperium, going into this game number 1, going to start up hopefully soon for us. What are we expecting going straight into this as soon as this playing path hits?
Myth. I need to highlight them and talk about them a little bit more, because you saw Jacob in the top 5 of the kill leaders, but there's one player that realistically should be there instead of him, or with him, should I say, Escalicia, right? Same amount of kills as Monty, but 4 less matches. He's got 23 kills, Escalicia, in 12 matches. That's a KD of like 3.3 compared to 2.3 for Jacob. Now, it's great to see kind of 2 myth players up there in kind of top 5, top 6, which is what has made them such a big force to contend with in these matches. But especially as Kalisha, with the lack of games that he's played and still rocking that many kills, it's pretty freaking insane.
It's nuts. It's honestly nuts. And I think, when you're playing with a player like that has such confidence, right? It's really, really obviously a great thing for you and yourself as a team, because not only that, it puts your team at a high level of confidence as well.
It does. It puts them at a high level of confidence, and they've gotten themselves a little bit stuck in some of these games, of course, and that's the way it's going to work. I've complimented on what Myth have been able to do in terms of when they go somewhere, they go that place with a lot more element of purpose, where they just want to control it, even if it's not the best idea. They still go into it, you know, fully committed. It looks like there's no real uncertainty with their rotations, with their positioning, and I definitely have to commend them for that. They can just clean up the tiny little things around them and have a little bit more luck on their side, I suppose. I could see them grab at least one chicken dinner in today's matches. So that's why when you ask me what team in that drop spot,
yeah,
I'm really looking at Myth.
Yeah, I think Myth are a great shout. I mean, I mentioned Colony as well slightly earlier on. I think they're also a very solid shout in terms of the way they've played sort of the games and the rotation phases as well. They've always been a team that's been around like the top 6, top 5 region. They've only been able to convert one chicken dinner though, unfortunately. So we are going to really have to wait and see how they play this out. But also eArena as well, the team. Obviously, your pick, Imperium, for the championship. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how they perform today.
Man, I'm looking out for them. I didn't want to like jump in and talk about them too much because they're my pick, and I try not to be like that biased commentator, right? I really try not to be. And I picked, part of the reason why I picked eArena was that I knew a tiny bit about them. I've heard of their name, and they seem like a bit of an underdog pick, but they've certainly proved themselves. And Sapnik specifically is a player who's really, to me, stood out as the powerhouse, you know, the galloping horse of their side. Right now, he's in 3rd place in the kill standpoint with 26 kills. He's the highest in terms of knocks with 30 knocks, so his knock to kill ratio is by no means weak. And, you know, even with the higher amount of knocks, you can't argue with how he's been able to help his team pull out such good performances across these games. I do think, once again, a tiny bit like Colony, they are having to deal with the fact that so many other teams around them are stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if those teams can continue to step up to their plate, as I do believe we are nearly ready to go into game finally here. Imperium, we're going to kick off our match number 17, if I'm correct. I'm just taking a little look at my other screen because we have got a map feed, and this is a very nice playing path indeed.
Don't tease it too much. Don't tease it too much. We have to, you know, wait for the viewers to see it as well. But it does look a very juicy playing path. It does indeed, and it should be easy for these teams to pretty much get to where they want to across the board. Once again, to kind of highlight Shen from ShuaiGeDui, his knock to kill ratio is still that golden 1. So every single knock.
Oh yeah, he's been nuts. He's been nuts.
You know, he's been absolutely nuts. So just to kind of highlight himself in that in these matches so far is pretty amazing. But we are going to be getting into match 17 out of 24. The penultimate day of matches, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, by the way, so much to everybody for tuning in so far across the matches, across these games, for supporting your teams. Genuinely, on a side note, if you have any feedback for myself as a commentator, don't be afraid to hit me up and you know, let me know if I'm doing good, bad, because I've always wanted to make sure that my commentating is up to the standard you wish to listen to during these fantastic games. But the playing path is here. It is what we teased quite nicely on the eastern side of the map, going straight from south to north. Fury and Colony going to go for that military island drop. Colony do go for more of a spread on that western side. Fury go directly into that military base. eArena are going to head towards their ferry pier split drop. You can see the Expendables and ShuaiGeDui dropping towards that Pachinki area, with, of course, Kingslayer's DK going for that eastern split. Team BLISS going to Yasnaya as usual. Bhadboyz Alliance in Severny, and NRX going towards that stall bar area. Here we go. Namsi, Duck, Levi's, and Jun. They've lost the last 2 battles of Pachinki in yesterday's ERANGEL games, while ShuaiGeDui, Teddy, Opten, Shen, and Jervis have been able to rocket on top quite quickly. Jervis is a little bit further away from the rest of his team, so that's something that they'll need to consider. But instantly, Teddy with the PB buys and does get a knock, but it's instantly responded by the shotgun blast of Namsi, and then Duck will finish that one off. Teddy is out, but still Jervis, Shen, and Opchen available for the side of ShuaiGeDui. Like I said, Jervis dropping a little bit further away instantly makes it a little bit tougher. Then again, the angles of play that Jervis can pull through is available. Expecting Jun to go onto that roof, no doubt about it. The phase one is very heavily on that eastern side of the map, but good. 40% water in play while Jun gets knocked. Opchen finds that with an Uzi. Very good indeed. Confirm it. Let him bleed out, but don't overextend. Nancy onto Jervis, even the board. On towards the roof. Shen gets knocked on his knees. Opchen is left on his own. He doesn't have an extended mag on that Uzi, and that is something that can be quite risky, right? He's going to look to get the revive on Shen. That's very valuable indeed, while Jun crawling away as Namsi looks to heal up. Duck is wrapping around on the underside to try and get that pinch, that blanket effect onto the members of ShuaiGeDui. We are 3 minutes into the game, so it looks like we are definitely heading towards that kind of 4 to 5 minute mark for the engagement to be closed out between either of these two teams. Right now, it is in the favor of the Expendables, but we know what ShuaiGeDui can do when it comes to turning these fights around, especially when Shen is still alive. The 4x with the AKM is certainly not easy to control when it comes to recoil, but if anybody can do it, it's Duck. At the end of the day, when he's on his own, he doesn't necessarily need to be like massively accurate with those shots. I know that sounds silly to say, but it's very much about him being that distraction, being that element of surprise in that play, and then allowing the rest of his team to take advantage and push in to eliminate ShuaiGeDui.
Yeah, I think this is a fight we've seen, again, I told you multiple occasions already. I think we've actually seen this every single time we've dropped into ERANGEL, apart from, I think it was one game, if I'm correct, Imperium, back, slightly further in the competition. I think it was like day 2 or day 3, actually, we saw the team of Expendables try and drop somewhere else. But, well, unlucky for the side of SGD, they are going to lose 2 players, like you mentioned early on. And for the side of Expendables, they are just down to 3 remaining players. But over towards Yaznaya, that's the side of Team Bliss. And if you're the side of Team Bliss, you kind of come into this and say, if we can put ourselves a chicken dinner on the board, we're looking very good going into tomorrow. Because at the moment, I would say this is pretty much sort of like a 6 or a 7 horse race in terms of who can win this event. I think anyone outside probably of the top 7, they're not looking too great. I'm just judging that purely off the fact that, the kill difference later on in the stages might come into factor. But this is the team here you wanted to see a good performance out, and that's Myth. Yeah,
Myth will be looking to control this lumberyard area. Quite an early rotation for Myth. Well, it is generally an early rotation, right? The Phase 1 Blue Zone hasn't even started to close in. They are close by to Kingslayers, and this is something where Kingslayers do need to be aware of. And they certainly are, with Zion 9i with that SLR looking for Jacob, just waiting. That trigger discipline is so good, and now the multiple shots at once from the players of Kingslayers don't really connect enough to get the knock, but again, the noise is made. Myth will have to respond.
Yeah, for the side of Myth, they're obviously got a lot more to lose in this engagement than the side of Kingslayer. I think the squad of Kingslayer should probably rename themselves to sometimes Kingslayers, as they've not performed too well thus far in this event. But for the side of Myth, you've got to say, we put the chicken dinner on the board here. We probably leapfrog ourselves into 3rd spot, and we're looking very, very solid going into the final few games. But if I'm the side of Myth here, you're probably just trying to not get tagged as much, just trying to keep yourself nice and safe. You don't need to engage this team of Kingslayer. They're kind of playing that role right now where they've got nothing to lose, so they're just going to be you know, being that annoying team and them annoying roles that are just trying to take you down and obviously trying to dent and put a chink in your armor in the game. So for a side like Myth, who have got a lot more to lose in that engagement than the likes of Kingslayer, I don't think they need to re-aggress and try and challenge them, and it looks like they did just that. But for the side of Bao Nam United, you got to say, a little bit of a disappointing event thus far in Pyramid. I don't know if you agree, but I expected a lot more out of them than what I've seen.
I agree. Yeah, for a team that's competing in the upcoming PGC, yeah, I am a little bit disappointed. Not so much in terms of I expected them to dominate every single game, because that's to an extent disrespecting every single other team in this lobby, but at least one chicken dinner in terms of helping them to prepare for the PGC, where you're going to have that chicken dinner rule come into effect. Yeah, I was expecting much better. But what I wasn't expecting was the Expendables being in a position of being 2 players down in a 1v2 going against them. I did say that if anyone could do it, is Shen and UpChen together, and that's exactly what they've done, taking out the Expendables.
Yeah, it's just not going to plan right now for the Expendables, and I mean, for the side of SGD, we saw how well the duo of Shen and Jervis performed the other day. I think they clutched a 2 versus, 40 players left in the lobby, and they ended up winning the game. But, well, for the side of From the Future, their ideal start of trying to stay on top spot might be hindered here, as they're going to, unfortunately, be wiped out to the hands of DK. And DK are a team that, you know, might have swept, rather, should I say, slightly under the radar every now and then. They're a team that have made the plays and pushes when they need to, but unfortunately things have just not come together. They're currently sitting at 14th on the current live standings. As well, for the side of Bliss, it looks like they're going to try and engage themselves over and try and find a few extra kills to put themselves back on top spot. It's going to be Ironic from the side of NRX, who unfortunately falls there to the hands of Monty, and that kill will be confirmed. As well, it looks like Namshao's actually been knocked to his own teammate after trying to hop out of the vehicle at a slightly faster pace, and well, that is going to be heartbreaking for the side of NRX, as they're now down to just 2 players.
It is heartbreaking indeed, but it's unfortunately something that we've seen from NRX more than once across this tournament, where they lose players early on. They make these couple of mistakes, and they're not respecting themselves, being perfectly honest. And they're not putting a higher standard to their own, and they're punished for that. When you compare them, for example, to the side of Kingslayers, it's not like Kingslayers were making the same mistakes, but they certainly were getting very heavily punished and compounded, whereas they're a team who have evolved, put a lot more respect on their own gameplay, have adapted in a stronger way, and they do look overall much more valuable in these games and look more like a team who's going to have an impact and keep themselves up as a full squad later in this game. So Kingslayers, got to give them a decent bit of props, especially compared to S, unfortunately.
Yeah, NRX, I mean, although they do get that revive back up and the 3rd player back into the game, they've been a team that's, you know, they looked okay at the start for the first few 3 or 4 games, but they've not looked that great ever since. And well, look at that for a shift on the zone. It's gone over towards the southeastern side of the maps of Malta, and you've also got Malta Power in there as well towards the southeastern side. So, well, look at that for a big shift as well. It's like, I mean, this is going to be a very, very nice end zone.
It's kind of volatile, because you have that Lumberyard Hill, which is pretty massive on that kind of northwest and northern side, but then you have the kind of compound heavy but flatter terrain of Power and outside and mini Milta right, and even a bit of the Milta city, where if the circle shifts from that area, disengaging from the likes of Milta Power and mini Milta is quite difficult. So if you choose to commit yourself to Milta and mini Milta, you gotta be sure that you are proactive in that area. You are getting as many small kills, small knocks as you can, and that's what Fury are doing to the hands of DK, who send my boy and pay the price.
Yeah, what we mentioned for the side of Fury, it's probably now or never for them in terms of trying to get themselves a chicken dinner on the board. And Well, they want to try and do it, and they started off with a comfortable kill, but for the side of Bao Nam, it's going to be a kill going in the opposite way, and that's in the hands of Main and Thailand, as Jacob's going to knock one, and hope for the side of Bao Nam, they're not in the best of spots, and I don't know really what's happened to Bao Nam, to be honest with you. They looked so good over the first few days. We thought, well, are they just trying to play for more kills and then worry about chicken dinners later?
Maybe.
But I feel here in Imperium, they've probably left themselves with a little bit too much to do later on in the games.
Yeah, they just do. They're to an extent, being perfectly honest, kind of making a couple of sloppy mistakes. That's harsh, and I mean that with the best of respects. But yeah, they look like sloppy mistakes, but we know what they're capable of, and I'm sure they can turn it around in a bit of a dime. Whereas Colony, they need to try and turn this fight around, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be the case, as Killa gets burnt to crisp, knocked down to his knees, and the confirmation will come through very quickly. Zai is on the off angle, but ZaiShu has absolutely every idea of where he is, and we are in a 2v2.
Yeah, for the side of Colony, I mentioned that I wanted to see them perform a little bit better, but well, to the hands of DK, they've already dropped a few players, and Zai nearly going down to that nade as well from ZaiShu, and for these two teams here, they're kind of forced into this engagement now, right? I mean, once they've committed into that team fight, you've lost a few players already. It's sort of an engagement you have to take. There's a lot of flat land around as well. So for the side of Colony, it's going to be somewhat impossible to try and rotate. And when you've got the likes of ZaiShu shooting straight back at you as well with an M762, it's going to be so hard to try and duck and dodge your way out of trouble. And unfortunately for him, he goes down. The confirmation of the kill comes through from Isu of NRX, who, well, NRX, they were actually down to one player momentarily after the two revives come through, and now all of a sudden they want to try and engage everyone.
Why not? Why not? They have a good bit of control on that southwest side that they can use on this next circle shift that's going to be popping up soon enough. See, what a lot of players don't understand, John, is that there's 5 Ds of PUBG Mobile. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Right? Those are the 5 Ds.
That is a fantastic movie reference.
Yeah. Thank you.
I respect that a lot.
It's something I pull out every now and again, you know. It's something I pull out every now and again. Just like the circle has pulled out something pretty massive, and I think it is probably one of the better circle shifts for the teams that committed to that. Like I said, the milk, the power, the mini milk, the area, because they don't really have to think, at least right now, about moving up that hill onto the lumberyard area. With the teams like Myth and Kingsayers and Bao Nam and eArena, there's a couple of pockets that they're able to play around. There's a cluster there, of course, and I don't expect there to not be some engagements, but I can also understand if they're able to hold on to their own individual pockets of play.
Yeah, well, unfortunately for Andy, there's a few bullets in his pocket, and that was by the way of one of the eArena players, as that's going to be Bhadboyz Alliance, unsurprisingly, out at 14th spot. And well, for the side of Bhadboyz Alliance, you feel a little bit sorry for them, right? Imperium, you've got to. I think, no doubt, they are a very, very good team, very good individuals, but I think they've just come up stuck a little bit here against some players that might be just slightly better than them in every way, shape, and form. And for the side of Colony, oh, that's going to be an elimination now after Alex going to drop. And we're starting to see these players really try and set up towards the zone. You've got the side of Team Extraordinaire. They've actually got a 2-2 split right now. Two are towards the sort of middle left end of the road. You've got 2 in towards a compound. Yeah. Fury's got a 2-2 split as well. Looking across the board here, there are actually a lot of splits going across, and this doesn't surprise me at all.
No, it doesn't surprise me at all, because having that split, especially towards those compounds, can be quite valuable. It's still only phase 3, right? So there's a risk there, but it is still safe. One thing that I've noticed though, ShuaiGeDui, they've gone for a boatation. They got a boat outside Milta, took that bad boy boat, and shifted it across the coastline on towards the cliffs and in now to the southern edge of the circle on the mainland. There's a lot of risks there, because unless they're able to grab hold of a vehicle, what is in front of them is quite barren and flat on the beach side. But when you're talking about a rotation that is avoiding so many teams inside those circles, inside that circle, inside the compounds within the circle, it is pretty big brain from ShuaiGeDui.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I know you highlighted it. I think it was yesterday, and there was one team I can't remember. I want to say it was PMA who kept trying to use the rotation to try and get themselves located, and it didn't work a few times. The zone shifted the opposite way, and well, unfortunately for SGD, that's exactly what's happened. But I don't think they'll be too worried. They still will be able to come in along that coastline and should be able to set themselves up inside that next phase relatively easy. They actually might pay, sort of, and work in their favor, because there's going to be a few teams probably not trying to focus towards this southern eastern side.
Yes.
They was probably think, okay, well, prior to this phase, there was like 50% of the zone was in water. It's going to be a bit risky to try and play along there. So this shift here could probably actually pay dividends to the way SGD are trying to play.
It is. It's honestly a better circle shift. If it had to be more central, where they're a small bit away from the circle, your dead right teams would be a lot more likely to be able to focus in their direction. Whereas because it's such a northern shift, you can see the likes of PMA wrapping around the coastline, going to go to open compound. They're going to be able to play with the arena under a lot of pressure to the hands of Myth. I said that they'll be able to hold on to those kind of pockets of action, but as the circle is shifted and Myth need to move down to Lumberyard Hill, eArena holding on to the rocks. They do have Lyrics knocked down, but off the back of that counter knock, they're able to get the revive, while Myth Rogue is knocked. They're down to 2.
Yeah, very, very hard here for the side of Made in Thailand, and it looks like Young B seen Jacob in his tracks as well, and I like this here. I like this here from Bao Nam, the third party. It's intelligent, it's smart. They know that the numbers disadvantage is definitely very much against them, with only 3 players left alive. Doesn't surprise me they try to level things up across the board, as we do see that confirmation on the kill from Sissy taking down Nansmi. And well, there are still 3 teams in the same sort of area towards this northwestern zone. Jacob's going to get tagged up. Jacob drops, so does Esqualesia, and so does the hopes and dreams of another chicken dinner for Made in Thailand. And Bao Nam United, they played that perfectly.
Yeah, couldn't ask for a better third party. They didn't overcommit. They know they still have a good kind of entry point a little bit away from Made in Thailand, and they knew that if they pushed too hard, eArena could technically third party them. So valuably played from Bao Nam, and that's the kind of Bao Nam that we know can pull out these amazing games, right? As a team, intelligent decisions, and now they're going to have to move into the edge of the circle. 30 seconds of the blue zone closing in on phase 4. Phase 5 is about to pop up. Mini Milta is controlled by all of the side of Extraordinaire. You have Kingsayers on the outskirts looking to take a couple of shots towards DK, who end up being eliminated. A lovely Car 98 headshot onto the final player. Masterton is taken out. Fury have a 2-2 split towards those compounds, and Team Bliss, the other Australian representatives, they're on the edge of Milta.
We mentioned SGD and their rotation towards the southern side of the zone, and it might actually work out for them, but unfortunately for them, there is so much flatland in sort of the area that they're occupying that they're just trying to get pop shotted from the likes of Team Bliss and Team Extraordinaire. But well, Insight is gonna drop God Ace, and the side of Bao Nam, things get from bad to worse. And as I say that, I mentioned the flatland that the side of SGD were trying to rotate through and occupy. Well, it's gonna be Shen who unfortunately falls to the headshot. I think it was one of the eArena players it was Isu, sorry. It was Isu from NRX. But well, eArena, your pick right now, they've absolutely collapsed, and well, they've been wiped.
Okay, KM99, Sissy, they still have 2 players up, but is it Sissy? Is Sissy left up? I think it's just KM99, but PMA, it's a sniper tower. It's a very, very strong area of the circle to hold on to because of how deep it is inside this phase, but it is still only a Harry Potter sniper tower, right? It only has a limited amount of space, and it is at risk of getting shot at from multiple directions. You can look at the members of Team Bliss holding onto the edge of Milta, being able to do absolutely glorious stuff from the edge of the wall. Division X Gaming, they do have Log Fee inside the circle as an anchor position, while the 3 other players hold on to the outskirts, only have to move in a little bit. And yeah, Lyrics and KM99, they're on the first floor, while PMA, 3-player team, they're on the ground floor.
A little bit disappointed with PMA there, to be totally honest with you. I think it was KM99 who was... KM99 was actually knocked in the process, and it was only Lyrics momentarily. I'd like to have seen them to try and probably flush out that player.
Fair.
And not allow the revive to come through, because, well, now, you know, it's better to have one player above you than two. It's just going to cause a little bit of trouble for them upon the rotation, even just being in the same building together. So I think a bit of a misplay there from PMA. They could have probably tried to... to flush that kill out a little bit slightly sooner rather than later. But we're down to our top 9 teams here, Imperium, and you've got to look at the likes of Team Bliss, for example, even DXG and, dare I say it, Fury. They are looking pretty damn solid thus far. But as I say that, the curse of the commentator most definitely is going to come through, as I think the Molly's going to probably land on those Fury players and take a few players out. That's fantastic. Yakiki Macau's actually drove straight into Insight as well.
Like... But it's also the kind of thing that if you go for a commitment onto the side of the wall, you got to know that that position is massively at risk of nades and mollies. So the second you get there, you really need to, as much as possible, separate. And yes, it didn't help that Yakika Mukau is got that knock at the inside. I think the revive might be able to come out, but the next circle has come up. It's centered a little bit across the board. Fury do hold on to that southwestern edge. The one saving grace Fury could have to their advantage is Kingslayers rocking it through Mini Milta and third-partying the side of Extraordinaire.
Yeah, we mentioned, you know, time and time again, especially towards the later phases of the games, phase 6, 7, and even 8, it's so important to get your third parties right and do it correctly. We see it time and time again. We saw Team Bliss do it successfully over towards that chopsticks ending a few games ago, and you know, if you can really play that third party in the end phases very well, it makes yourself a bit of an easier task going into the final phase, where you're trying to, you know, play towards that center of that phase. And I mean, for the side of Kingston, they have got 4 players left up, though. Are they trying to throw a spanner in the works and do a little bit of damage here to the side of NRX? Well, they initially was, but it looks like Namshao should find the kill. He's got Isu there for support. The swing comes through, but Jagger's there to find the kill, and Namshao's going to, unfortunately, be dropped out of this one. A little bit disappointed there, I think, from Namshao. He'd probably be kicking himself that he's not found that kill onto Jagger's pretty sooner.
Yeah, but it was a lovely clean push from the members of Kingslayer. It's great teamwork. Trading that damage is so valuable. So you only have one player knocked. It's still not over and done with, as Isu is still alive and he's going to try and back off. He should be playing inside to Mini Milta a little bit more and towards the side of the wall, but he also maybe is afraid that if he goes too far away, he could get third-partied right from a player around. So he did have to be aware, and in the end, Kingslayer's Jagger gets a job done.
Yep, so unfortunately for the side of NRX, they're going to be dropping out here, and Insight's going to be finished off by Niall on the side of Fury. You mentioned they're now down to 2 players, and one thing you highlighted is the arena actually falls as well. It's KMF1 and Papichulo who find those 2 final players, so PMA finally sorting out that situation they had over towards that sniper's tower. And you mentioned Fury, right? As soon as they crash in towards the side of that wall, they're going to be vulnerable to the likes of the nades, mollies, and anyone trying to take those peeks around the corners. And, well, I don't think they predicted what could have happened. And unfortunately for them, they are down to just 2 remaining players. But let's not discredit them. They are talented players as it is. They can most definitely pull off some crazy situations. But you got to be looking at the likes of Team Bliss here, are in a great spot. They got a lot of rocky terrain to work with, a nice ridge to set up behind, and they've only got the side of PMA to deal with over towards that sniper's nest. And if they can deal with them pretty early on, Team Bliss could be looking good for a 4th chicken dinner.
Team Extraordinaire, oh no, getting third party by Kingslayers across the board. Jason finds how Jagger holding on towards the edge side. This is a 3-way dance as Jason is knocked, torn asunder. Trick comes into the mix. Fury are still alive towards the other side of the wall. Papichulo, he's been integral in his team's plays in a couple of these games, while Trick definitely has something up his sleeve as he gets in the vehicle and starts moving away. Beautiful from Pappy, 1 health with the knock of the Kingslayers.
Yeah, great shots from Papajulo and, well, Niles there to finish it off. And you know what? I am absolutely impressed with the team of Extraordinaire right now. I think they've played this game so far absolutely flawlessly. They got themselves up, set over towards this compound relatively early by the warehouse. And since then, they've just really dictated their state of play and played it almost absolutely flawlessly and perfectly. But for the side of Team BLISS, it's fallen apart for them as KMF 1-Pete. They're going to combine for a few kills. And, well, see you later, lobby leaders, as the side of BLISS, they are going to retain the top spot at the end of this game regardless. It's just whether or not the side of DXG or Team Extraordinaire can edge closer to them in that chicken dinner count. And oh my god, I've just noticed the spread from DXG here as well. DXG are in a great spot. Fury are going to fall. That's the 10th kill on the board for the side of Extraordinaire. And, well, the team of Extraordinaire right now, they're cleaning house with everyone.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, but why are Division X sending 2 players to the smaller side of the circle across the road? To me, that doesn't make sense. Never mind the fact that they probably could have third-partied onto Team Extraordinaire's engagement onto Fury. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yes, they wanted to deal with PMA, which I do respect. When you have the road right there dividing the 2 sides, it didn't really make sense. However, to kind of counter that by getting rid of PMA, they're actually able to use the ridge on the road side to their advantage. So there was definitely purpose behind their play as Logfy uses the arm to get
oh my god, Logfy!
Oh my god!
Logfy!
Beautiful!
Clicking heads, and, well, for the side of Team Extraordinaire, it's all fallen apart, and all of a sudden, it's a 3 versus 3, I think. The revives have come through. And, well, this rotation from the side of DXG, you mentioned, is a little bit skeptical. I think what they wanted to do was, like you said, try and deal with PMA and then use this ridge, because surely this is going to start to shift towards them. It doesn't matter. Division X Gaming, well, they put their 3rd on the board. And they were a team that we really sort of put under scrutiny yesterday, saying they need to get things back up and rolling. They have done today, and, well, they've just leapfrogged themselves into 3rd spot.
And, I owe them an apology, I really do, because I just simply because they had such a good position on the majority side of the circle that I just presumed they were going to stay there, I really did. But that kind of bigger brain play that I didn't see at first to clear out PMA allowed them to use the hill by the ridge side. And apologies, Division X, because I kind of, you know, jumped on that a little bit more, and I should have stepped back and recognized what they were trying to pull out in the reach side, allowed them to control the end game. Absolutely spot on indeed. As you said, we kind of said about this team that coming into yesterday's games, they need to step a little bit more up to the plate, right? Falling
they did.
down. And they won a game yesterday. They won the first game of today. It was a crazy area for it to finish, but at the end of the day, they got the job done.
Yeah, I think what they did is they just banked on the fact that they knew if they killed PMA, they had complete control of, 3/4 of the actual phase. They knew exactly where the other 2 teams were, and the damage had already been done for the 2 teams, you know, on the other side of the phase fighting it out anyway. So definitely got to respect the play from Division X there, as they've gone from not looking like they were having a great tournament to, within the past days, getting a win back-to-back days, and they have leapfrogged themselves in to 3rd spot. But this year, the side of From the Future, I'd have been disappointed to be wiped to the likes of DK Esports so easily on at the start of the game. I probably think SGD were a bit disappointed to lose 2 players initially at the start to the side of Extraordinaire as well. But I think the story of that game was just the teams that got set up a little bit slightly earlier in the middle of that phase just had the upper hand because of, I don't want to say a little bit of luck came into it for the likes of Team Extraordinaire on the shifts of the phases.
It was, mate. It was 100%. It was 100%. That little bit of circle luck.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all you need, though, in PUBG, right? Is
of course.
You can try and predict the way in which the phase is going to move, and it shifts the other way. And I think, well, for the side of DXG, they predicted it perfectly. They played it perfectly, and you know, I think every single engagement they took was a smart engagement. They knew when to sort of relax a little bit and disengage. They knew when to re-aggress and try and challenge people. I thought they played the third parties quite well as well. They obviously wiped out PMA to get control of that roadside and used the ridge, and Well, from then on and therefore out, it is going to be the third chicken dinner on the board for Division X. And I think they've been kind of creeping under the radar here slightly.
A little bit. Definitely creeping under the radar a little bit. But, you know, Team Extraordinaire, yeah, okay. That little bit of circle look comes into play, of course. However, there's no point in having a good position in the circle if you don't do something with it. And I gotta say, Team Extraordinaire, they were as proactive as they could have been inside those circles, in towards that mini Milta compound. The second Fury tried to kind of push them, they punished them, got a kill on the inside. As soon as Kingslayers made some noise against NRX, instantly they were on top of that. So really credit to Team Extraordinaire despite not getting the chicken dinner in that game. Division X Gaming though, John, their third chicken dinner, instantly up to third place.
Yeah, and I think they picked up quite a high kill win as well. I think it was like an 11 or 12 kill win, I think. They were sitting at around 43, 44 kills.
It was a 13 kill win.
A 13 kill win, so there you go. They were sitting
12 kill win. Sorry.
Okay, so no, so they were sitting at what, 48 kills going into that game, and then, you know, all of a sudden they've popped off, pulled out a fantastic game, and well, now they're sitting absolutely comfortably. And what for the side of BLISS from the future Division X, I think you can throw eArena and SGD in there as well. Yes. The rest of play today is going to be pivotal to see how things turn out and what we look like going into tomorrow.
Definitely. Yeah, like, and again, the likes of Maiden Thailand and Colony and the other teams that have one game, it's really important that you get another chicken dinner on board. And as we've already talked about, Bao Nam and Fury, other teams have 0 wins. Pull it out today. Close out the game. Get a chicken dinner.
Well, that's only the action that we've just kicked off. We've got 3 more games for you today at the AOC Masters 2021 for PUBG. And when myself and Imperium return from this short break, we'll be heading over to Miramar. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome back here to the AOC Masters Tournament of 2021. My name is the wonderful, the beautiful, the extravagant John P. I got to try and pick myself up, all right? Not many other people do it. But I'm joined by the equally extravagant Imperium for the rest of today and, of course, the whole event. Great game. Number one, actually, to be totally honest with you. We were talking about it a little bit just before we come back on air. In terms of actual PUBG gameplay itself and watching good rotations and outplays in terms of phase play and the rotational play, we've not seen too much of that in the actual AOC Masters Tournament of 2021 as of yet. We've seen it in dips and dabs. We've had little glimpses here and there of it, but it's been quite fast-paced, if you ask me, overall. If you was to say, like, a percentage of games, it'll be like a 70 or 80% of the games were quite fast-paced and aggressive games. So it's always nice to see a game like that, a bit more traditional, a bit more laid-back, and actually, you know...
I agree.
Not agree, sorry. I just took your words literally out of your mouth. And enjoy what is the art form of being a good Battle Royale team.
Yes, I definitely agree with you there. And it was 100% influenced by the circle and the circle shifts, more importantly.
Yeah.
But some intelligent decision making being made, I feel, by a lot of these teams. Even though it didn't work out, ShuaiGeDui go for that rotation, I think is just really a little bit off kilter, but quite intelligent, and it made sense for the moment. A little bit short term, but you know, I appreciate that, right? That kind of outside of the box rotation, because I knew when they sent it in, there was most likely going to be 2 to 3 teams around them, and they might not have lasted so long, right? But things like Team Extraordinaire moving around the mini Milta and utilizing every single part of that building, the wall, the pipes, it was just really beautiful to see. And then you had the sniper tower trying to be held on, Division X playing around, just really intelligent plays being made by a lot of these teams, and it's a credit to all of them for being able to adapt to each other in the night in a pretty quick amount of time, and we are seeing some damn good PUBG.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, from a viewer's point of view, obviously you want to see fast-paced, engaging, high-kill, rush games, right? But from a caster and analyst's point of view, sometimes you just want to appreciate the pure talent and knowledge that some of these players have in terms of knowing where certain ridges are on the map to hold, etc., etc. I thought you highlighted and come to a great point in terms of the play from the squad of Team Extraordinaire. I thought a little bit unfortunate for them, to be honest with you, in terms of losing that game. I thought if there was a team that probably played that game perfectly, they kind of did deserve to win that game. But you can't take away from DXG. They made a very, very 50-50 call in terms of trying to force the engagement on PMA. So they then knew that they had this pretty much like a 60 or 70% control of the in-phase game, and obviously it worked for them. Yeah,
definitely. Definitely for Division X, you know, they played a slow burner of a game. They took out Bao Nam. They were able to react to the circles pretty quickly, and that play, it's very, very credible across the board for a lot of these teams, and Division X specifically, and them coming into this second game in third place. They don't have as many kills as what is obviously needed overall, should they get another chicken dinner, but still massive credit to them, and them proving that they can close out the games from one day to another will boost their confidence highly coming into this Miramar match.
Yeah, I think most definitely. And for the side of like DXG, for example, they've now, you know, if you think about it, they won the first game of the tournament. So they started the tournament well. They went through a bit of a downward dip in terms of consistency. Towards the middle stage of the competition a day or so ago, they then picked up another win. And now we're heading into the later stages of the competition. They're starting to replicate and get back on form again. You couldn't have asked for a better time to try and hit form here if you're DXG. And if you go into this Miramar and you try and pick up a back, I will say, though, if my memory serves me correctly, I don't think I remember too many games on Miramar where DXG have looked incredibly good or took my breath away in comparisons to the like of Made in Thailand, who have performed well in it, SGD, eArena, From the Future, etc. But I think if they could try and get that Miramar consistency of play slightly up, coming off the back of that chicken dinner, then listen, there's no reason why DXG, they won't be towards the top of the leaderboards come the end of Sunday.
Yeah, like, you know, when we look at their kind of individual player stats for a little bit, their highest kill player is IQ 500 with only 15 kills, right? When you look at 27, 26, 25, 23 for the kind of higher end players. But when you have Long K with also 10, with Neil T with 13, they're very much a team-focused team, and they have that kind of play style for the later stages of the game, and their style complements the chicken dinner rule, and they still got 9 or so kills in that first match of the day, so they are definitely able to kill. But I did want to highlight the fact that their highest kill player at the moment only has 15 kills coming into today's games. A little bit more aggression hopefully will benefit them so much more compared to the likes of Team Bliss and the side of From the Future.
Yeah, and I think you made a great point in terms of the chicken dinner rule set really does complement and play into the strengths of a team like DXG for Division X game. And I think, you know, having this rule in it, you can kind of afford to not worry about kills, right? Like, realistically, you could have 10 kills and win 10 chicken dinners, right? And you're going to win the event because you've won the most games consecutively. So I think it honestly depends on the type of team they are. I don't want to sound too flamey. I don't think they have got the 4 individual best shooters and sort of aim players in the team, but you don't have to have that though if you're playing in tournaments that have chicken dinner rule sets, because even if you're playing in a normal tournament that rewards placement points, for example, if this team can consistently stay alive into the top 3, they're going to stack up a load of placement points in terms of kill points as well. So nothing really too much to worry about for DXG in terms of making sure that they try and frag out. It's just whether or not they can consistently try and win the game. That's their issue. And when they're playing against so many good teams, it can be a little bit easier said than done.
And it's also something that all of Bliss, From the Future, and Division X Gaming do need to be aware of, because eArena and ShuaiGeDui, right now, they're on 82 kills and 79 kills, respectfully. If any one of those two teams get a chicken dinner, they're instantly shot up to first place by 10 or so kills, right? Yeah. So that is 10 to 15 kills. That is a big, big gap to clear up. So, you know, it looks to an extent comfortable for the top 3 being a chicken dinner ahead, but they can't rest on that. They cannot rely on that. Yeah,
and I think especially if you're looking at the likes of Team Bliss and From the Future as well, they're, like you mentioned, so close together. So you don't want to leave it in terms of, you know, winning by 1 kill or just scraping it, for example. You want to, you know, make sure that you are playing to your best of abilities at all times. And well, for Mayo, it looks like he's trying to find some shots onto KMF1.
Come on.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to land it just yet. Probably would have liked a little bit of a scope on that SKS if he could have done so, but KMF1, I don't even think KMF... Has KMF1 even been tagged?
I don't think so, and that's where I appreciate a couple of shots by Team Extraordinaire, but it takes long enough to loot up Minas Generalis. Don't waste more time by hoping to get a knock. Just do what you can with that. But we do have to talk about this Phase 1. I don't know, John, if that could be any more to the west. Like, I really don't. It is.
I don't think it can actually. I think it's
ridiculously west. Like, to the point where we're in a Phase 2, Phase 3 circle. And what's worse is the very western edge, that kind of guitar-shaped line. It doesn't really hold much value in the early game to control, right? So that takes away another kind of 5% of the circle to really kind of control. So Team Bliss right now, they're on a kind of El Pozo, Monte Nuevo spread. It's so important that they get into a pretty core position as a full squad early on in this game, because their area of the map is absolute hot property for every single team in this circle.
And this is where we talk about knowing whether or not to play a split, right, as a team, in terms of when to know to split in a 1-1-3 split, or a 1-2-1 or a 2-2, for example. Sometimes if you are going to have a zone that's sort of swings its way out, it's sort of similar to the zones we saw the other day, right, on ERANGEL, where it was like 50% water at times, and you had the teams in the power spots, they elected to try and just group up and unlock one position down as an actual 4-man unit, or even as a 3-man unit, and then send one solo player to kind of be that scout and get that information. So definitely vital Team Bliss get their strats perfectly on point here, because they are already set up and looking fantastically well inside of this zone here, and they can be one of those teams that really be a bit of a nuisance to try and hold some teams out of the zone, because if they can get themselves up onto, especially a map like Miramar, right, it's so rocky, it's so cliffy, there's so many ledges and ridges and hills to play up on. If you're Team Bliss, you've got to try and get up and set up ASAP. You can't allow, for this, for example, the likes of SGD to rotate straight past you completely free of charge, and then they're already going to be set up on top of this massive hill.
Well, Bryn was there to take a couple shots towards one of the ShuaiGeDui players, but again, you know, I know it's tough because that playing path didn't massively complement Bliss getting to their drop spot quicker, right? So their looting phases in some small way slow down, plus Monte Nuevo and the compounds outside Monte Nuevo, they're not exactly quick to get to and loot up. But I still think Team Bliss could have recognized a bit more value in getting together a tiny bit quicker. They are trying to react to that by wrapping around ShuaiGeDui in a stronger way. However, a missed opportunity.
Yeah, well, I think the issue that Team Bliss might have now is they are kind of split, and there is already, 5, 6, I think I'm making nearly 7 teams trying to get their way over towards that western side of the map where that phase has already pulled so heavily forward over to. And DXG, you mentioned you'd like to see them maybe put a few more kills on the board. They've started off good with 2 from the side made in Thailand, and that revive should come through pretty much uncontested. So very nice start for our match 17 winners.
And this is that kind of northern side of the map, and this is where it's so good for DXG, because when you are looking at these kind of circles that is massively either on the east or the west, holding on to kind of the north and the south side of the circle around the edge is a lot more valuable, because it allows you to have a bit of a stronger exit strategy compared to if it's either the western edge or the eastern edge of the circle. So I really appreciate DXG's push, aggression, control, value behind how they moved, and of course got those 2 kills onto the players from Myth. And it's a bit similar for Colony. They hold on to the kind of La Drillera Hill. They've opted to go a little bit more to the west of the La Drillera Hill, but they do have Momo at least covering and scouting from that kind of on towards the eastern side of where teams might be coming from. So they aren't tunnel visioned, at least.
Yeah, I think it's important not to get tunnel visioned, right, in a game like PUBG, because especially in a phase like this where there's so much open land around you in different positions, power spots people might be set up on, you don't want to allow yourself to get too tunnel visioned early on. Well, for the side of the Expendables, they are going to have to try and get themselves slightly further over towards that western side of the map. You've got the likes of Bao Nam already set up in their Team Bliss, SGD, Myth, DXG, BBA are starting to make their way over, so too the squad of eArena. And well, for these teams here, the pivotal thing is going to be where that phase 2 shifts towards, right? Is it going to continue to shift west and make its way further up towards the perimeter of the map, or is it going to slightly start to center probably towards El Pozo, which I think probably that might be what happens. It's going to really come down to that, if you ask me, in terms of positioning on the map and the phase, and how these teams might go about attacking and executing sort of the rest of the game.
And I don't normally say this about PUBG games too much, but it also does add value for the likes of PMA, DK, even to an extent Kingslayers, but especially PMA, to just wait until phase 2 pops up before you look to move into the circle, maybe be close to the edge of it, but the phase 1 blue isn't going to be anything to really worry about, because you're automatically coming in later, having dropped on the eastern side of the map, that there's going to be 4 to 5 to 6 teams somewhat around you, depending on how much path-wise from a lot of these teams. So waiting until phase 2 pops up, where the teams aren't as solidified and are thinking a bit more about their rotation, could definitely be better for PMA.
Yeah, not a bad shout indeed. And you mentioned that phase 1 blue, it does one tick of damage every so and so seconds, so nothing really too much to worry about if you do want to try and wait it out and play for that phase 2 drop. But for the side of DXG, they're going to be going head to head with a squad of Made in Thailand, as they're both set up towards this far western side of the zone, just outside the city of El Pozo. And for the squad of Made in Thailand, we mentioned they dropped too early on. They have answered back as IQ 500 falls, and
yeah,
a little bit.
That was a mistake from Division X, right?
Yeah, I can.
You're 2.5 minutes into the phase 1 blue zone closing in, 4 to 5 minutes off when you kind of engaged onto teammates and took 2 of their players down. There's absolutely no reason why you should still be moving into the circle, right? So genuinely poor decision from Division X. They're lucky they only lost 1 player, but still shouldn't happen across the board.
And I think this is where maybe teams like DXG might get a little bit panicky in terms of, they're like, well, okay, we're only, say, 2 kills off top spot. Let's try and push these 2 kills and get them right and reclaim top spot regardless. And, well, there is that shift in phase 2. It is going to slightly center towards the mainland ever so much. Montenegro going to be inside. You've got El Pozo still in there as well. And this is actually sets up very, very nicely, especially with that huge road traveling and cutting the zone straight in half.
Yeah, obviously this kind of circle shift was a little bit tougher for the teams who are on the edge outside the circle. Because if it had shifted massively to the north or the south, it means that entering can be a variable rotation onto the easier side of the circle in that standpoint. But when it's a central shift, taking away from that western side and leaving the teams who are already solidified in phase 1 still looking good in phase 2, the entry point just becomes that little bit harder, that little bit more difficult, that little bit more challenging. Fury have themselves set up around the Monte Nuevo area. Team Bliss's 2-2 split is decent, a little bit dictated by ShuaiGeDui's initial rotation on phase 1, but they have been able to gather a lot closer together with Bhadboyz Alliance wrapping around them.
Yeah, I was literally just about to highlight this point. I think it's a great point to make, that the initial split from Team Bliss was forced. The hand was kind of forced by the side of SGD early on. They couldn't afford to give up too much control of the center of the zone. And, well, for the side of Bliss now, after that phase does shift back, they elect to try and regroup. And I was going to say, I like that. Sometimes in these kind of zones, playing a split can be a bit more risky than the likes of trying to play a 4 stack of players together, or a 3-on-1 split, in opposed to that 2-on-2. So very much agree there with the side of Team Bliss as to what they do is, well, they're going to walk straight into the side of BBA anyway, and they'll probably be a lot more confident fighting them, in a close range gunfight than most teams, as they do draw the upper advantage on that. So BBA downside is 2 remaining players. I think I saw SGD find a kill in the kill column as well. And for the side of eArena, that's going to be them. See ya later, my friend, as Papachulo's got a need in his pocket.
Team Extraordinaire looking pretty damn extraordinary at the moment. Getting the revive under Trick will keep them up as a full squad. Team Bliss yet to suffer a casualty, but they did open the doors on the BBA and said, hey, we're here. We're Australian. We're not looking to cook up a barbecue and have a friendly neighborly chat. We're here to light you all on fire and take you out of the lobby, control our area of the circle that little bit better. And as phase 3 is 30 to 35 seconds away from shifting, I I think it's important for Team Bliss to close this fight out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think if your Team Bliss, you've either got to commit to this fight, which I think is definitely the go-to play, and try and clean up the squad of BBA, and then you could probably try and stick yourself in a 2-on-2 split across the 2 sets of buildings on that compound, right? And then if you're not going to do that, you've got to just try and disengage and keep yourself hidden as much as possible, because they are going to run the risk of a third party potentially coming in here if they do leave it a little too late. And well, it does look like SGD, they seem to be making their way that way.
Well, the circle goes pretty massively to the east on this phase 3, northeast to be specific, so it kind of opens that landmass to be a lot more comfortable for all of these teams overall. The edge of El Pozo is in play in that high mountainside that From the Future has YQQ in towards is quite valuable. Bao Nam are in the dead center and towards that compound, but it's not the best compound to be in. I would even recommend that Bao Nam sends one player a little bit up north towards a high ground hill to get some sightlines and information. It's still okay on this phase 3.
Yeah, I think I agree. That's probably the go-to play for any of these teams that are sort of stuck by this road. They want to try and get a little bit of that advantage over the high ground. And well, we mentioned the side of Team Bliss needed to force the upper hand on BBA, or they run the risk of being third-partied. It looks like, though, it is the side of BBA that end up getting third-partied as the rotation from Bliss doesn't need to come through. BBA fought upon their rotation, and well, for the side of the Expendables, they're down to just leave us as well after Duck is knocked. The res should come through quite comfortably, though, for the Expendables here. There's a lot of natural cover to work with. I think I heard a nade come through. How has not only Levis survived that, but Duck as well? Just, I thought that nade rolled straight at his knees. But for the side of the Expendables, they look like they could fall.
Yeah, and as much as I kind of appreciate Bhadboyz disengagement away from Team Bliss and try and find a better position in the circle, just it wasn't the play to make because of how phase 1 looked, and it's shifting over towards the east, so teams are more likely to be solidified. There's a higher risk of a third party. You came into the game with only 3 players. Sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know, John. And the devil that they knew was that Team Bliss was right beside them. The devil that they didn't know was how many teams were in that compound, how many players, and how many teams were around them. And they opted for the devil they don't know, and they paid the price. They would have been better off holding on to Team Bliss and trying to force a bit of an engagement and knock onto the members of Team Bliss, because at least that compound was still in the circle.
Yeah, a little bit of a mishaps there from that squad, but well, for the side of Team Fury, they're a team that we mentioned they need to vitally put a chicken dinner on the board here today, Imperium, and they're still got 4 players standing strong. How many times is it though, Imperium? I think we've seen them in the 1v1s, and they've just absolutely thrown the game. I think I've counted 3 or 4 myself.
We don't talk about it, man. We don't talk about it.
We don't want the Fury army to come flooding after us, but they do tend to choke games every now and then.
I just don't want to curse them, to be honest. I just don't want to curse them. But this circle definitely hasn't cursed them, because it's gone in their direction. They currently have a 2-2 split. Waikikamuko and his teammate gets into their vehicles and instantly going to look to send it up the hill to join up with their teammates. That's good response from Fury.
Love that. Absolutely love that from Fury. I think it's the right play. It's the right call. You're going to have such a powerful spot here, potentially holding off any people that are trying to rotate in towards that phase once the blue starts to shift in. And for the side of Fury, well, not too bad. They can't complain. I think they couldn't have asked for a better shift. But it looks like the side of Kingslayer, though, they are trying to counter with a little bit of passive aggression to try and take some shots towards them and edge their way up to the top of that cliff instead.
Yes, Kalish, pointed out he's done a hell of a job so far for his team. Picking up the amount of kills he has with the lack of games that he's played is so valuable, and he finds another one onto Monty of Team Bliss. Breen has to try and back away into the comfort of the building, down to 34 health. It's 3v2, I do believe, in the favor of Team Bliss, but Myth are playing this as if they're a full squad. So much confidence behind Myth's movement. That's one thing that I've already complimented about them. Whether they're two-man team or a full squad, every single move they make is with so much confidence and purpose.
I'm not too sure if you're looking at the map feed here, but there's a huge engagement going on towards the northwest between 5 teams. You've got PMA, SGD, FTF, the Expendables, and Bao Nam all sort of 5-partying each other, and I think it is going to be SGD, though, who do bow out. eArena also going to be eliminated. And, well, that's going to be 2 big boys out of the game already here in this competition. It looks like the Expendables, they're down to their remaining player as well. So, dare I say it, a few of the leaders are already dropped out of it. And there goes another one in terms of FTF. Are we going to see here? Are we going to see Bao Nam and Fury finally try and step up?
Possibly. I look forward to seeing it, but Colony look forward to trying to push it on Kingslayers. They do get 2 players knocked, but Killa is still alive. Got XP coming in to clear out DK. The third-party threat is among them, so trying to split their plays is quite difficult. Colony will be able to hold down the fort to a small standpoint, as Killa, the only one up, needs to be careful. Will go for the revives onto Momo and Alec. Fury not opting to third party that. They're choosing to stay within the buildings and the compounds that they hold on to, which I can definitely respect 100%, as the next circle has centered up quite nicely. Still in the favor of Bao Nam, still in the favor of Fury, still in the favor of Colony.
Yeah, well, decided DXG, they have lost 1 player. That was Logfee, but the knocks and trades come back through. Only 2 remaining players left alive here, and, well, they're trying to find that lone player, Pete, who's inside the smoke, who's trying to work that revive off as well. But he's gonna fall. Luckily, though, for Division X, you have got Gagankan there to trade the kill out, and, well, for Nil, he is going to get back up into this game, but their back's very much against the wall here now in this 2-player situation. You've got Limitless last alive for DK. It's not long before we're seeing him back in the lobby, and dare I say it, we are going to probably see a new winner in this game.
Yes,
Team Extraordinaire, though. You can't count out Team Extraordinaire.
Don't count out Team Extraordinaire, and also don't count out Division X, because the northern side of the circle, completely unoccupied. The field outside of El Pozo is quite viable because it's kind of on that low ground, and you're going to be protected, especially against Bao Nam and also against Fury. So really, Division X wrapping to that north could give them another chicken dinner winner position.
And I'll just take a look at my other screen, and that's exactly what they're doing. It looks like they are going to make their way over towards that northern side of the phase, and I think they're going to try and rely on a few of these teams trying to fight back and forth here and get the damage done for themselves. And, well, for the side of Team Extraordinaire, though, they're going to try and edge their way up in further towards this mountain. They've got Colony, though, just slightly to their east. Fury as well in front of them. They also have Kingslayer to deal with, who are over to the compound of buildings just on the edge of the phase. Got to look to try and deal with Kingslayer here as quickly as possible if you're Team Extraordinaire.
NRX are going for a Hail Mary rotation, and they kind of make it pay off. They go in between Bao Nam and Fury. 2 teams you kind of don't want to be sandwiched in between, but that dip, that valley is there as protection. However, it's massively at risk of nades. The one thing they can count on, though, is the second Fury and Bao Nam kind of step out of their buildings to try and look for and engage. They're going to cancel each other out, and it allows NRX to stay alive, at least for the time being, at least.
Yeah, they are going to try and see if they can make things work as the duo, but Bao Nam have got the line of sight over towards them. NRX are going to lose 1 player to the hands of Ace God, and, well, Dr. Logi's going to fall, unfortunately. That's how from the side of Team Extraordinaire. I think that revive might just come through in the nick of time, though, for the side of Bao Nam to get all 4 players back up and running. That's a big shift, and you got to say Fury, they're looking great towards that compound still. Bao Nam got a few buildings to work with as well, but that northern side of the zone you mentioned for DXG still very much unoccupied.
And I gotta give credit to Bao Nam, right? Gode sent himself out of that building before the circle shifted a good 20 to 30 seconds before that. So that little bit of extra anchor point further forward is potentially so valuable to them closing out this game and finally seeing a chicken dinner in the favor of Bao Nam. But Fury are still in contention. They have their compound in a circle, while Team Extraordinaire and Colony are fighting for an entry point.
Yeah, let's see if they can find the kill to open up that entry point, as we are seeing our final 6 teams of NRX, Bao Nam United, Fury, Colony, Team Extraordinaire, and DXG all left to play for. 20 players left as well. If you're the side of Division X, how do you go about trying to find these opening frags here onto Bao Nam? You got to say that's probably the team they got to try and deal with first if they can. They've got Godace and Zest so heavily advanced up close to them though, and I'm not too sure if they even realise they're there.
I think Division X missed the mark though on not controlling that northern side a little bit more. Now they're in a bit of a pickle of a pinch where both Fury and Bao Nam to an extent have their number. The possible saving grace for Division X is Fury and Bao Nam engage on each other with NRT and DX coming into the mix. Colony though, Team Extraordinaire in this fight is kicking off.
Yeah, it looks like Fury getting involved as well. A few nades from Ronan. Insight finds one as well after Killer drops him. It's going to be Namshao who falls to the nade of Young B as well. So things finally starting to heat up here in the closing stages of this game. Number 18 here on Miramar. Papachulo going to be landing those shots. Wow. Killer finds a tag. Tricks there to trade. Can't find the other one though, as Extraordinaire are eliminated. And Colony, they are good for all the kills, and they should get that revive back on time. I want to mention something though, Zest and Godace, because they're so far out and split from their team, they might be caught in a bit of a tricky situation here, as they were getting shot in the back momentarily as they were trying to make their way up that hill.
But Young Boy and Dr. Logi are in absolutely beautiful spots, right? So I understand what you're saying about Godace and Zest, but I think that backline support couldn't be any better from the rest of their team. Manpower will definitely come into the mix as the circle shifts down south on phase 7. Fury, so close to a chicken dinner from the PGC representatives from Australia. They have NRX in front of them. They have Bao Nam around them. They have Colony behind them. And they have DXG on the other side.
Yeah, you got to say it's now. It has to be this game, right? If you're the side of Fury or Bao Nam, you must win this game. You certainly can't allow Colony to win or DXG. But if your chances for the OC Masters is going to survive, it has to be now Flood. Or never. Flood finds the tag onto Zest with the mini 14. Going to drop him down to around 20 HP. And just taking a little look at our map here is 14 seconds before that phase starts to push in again. And well, for the side of Bao Nam, they're still in a very nice spot here. Godace still split with Zest, and you've got Fury still set up towards those compounds.
And Fury don't need to, but they also don't want to massively commit onto either NRX or Bao Nam, because they are fully aware that Colony are behind them. That's why, for the likes of Ronan and Waikiki, they've kind of been keeping an eye very much on that eastern edge. Colony, though, they are trying to avoid it as much as possible. They have that 1-1 spread. Fury just need to be careful that they don't get backstabbed, that they don't get third party. Luckily for them, as Killer tries to make his way in, Division X Gaming are putting a couple of shots in the direction of Killer, leaving Alec the only one, at least for the time being, not spotted out by the members of both Fury and Division X Gaming.
Yeah, I think if you're the side of Division X and Colony here, and with the 2-player disadvantage across the board to the other teams, you've got to try and let these other teams engage, and it's probably only a matter of time before the likes of NRX, Bao Nam, and Fury engage in some sort of 3-way engagement. So I think if you're them, you just try to pick up a few kills, just a bit scrappy, let the other teams do the work for you, and then
exactly.
There we go. Well, it's going to be Godace to find the first on to Nicel, so NRX down to just 2 players. I think that's a nade that comes through, should land, should hit. It's going to be Insight who cleans up that kill. So for NRX, they're like Colony and DXG now down to just 2 players, and for the side of Bao Nam and Fury, they've got numbers to spare.
And look at this, Fury, 2 kills. When was the last time we saw them in the late stage of a game with only 2 kills? That's a good thing. I'm saying that in a credible way, right? This is the kind of gameplay and the kind of game that Fury know they can pull off and can show what they can do. I know they haven't closed out the game, but they have never been in a better position. NRX being whittled down to just that solo player, Nam Zhao. They're pinching between Bao Nam and Fury. Yes, Bao Nam and Fury are kind of picking shots at each other, but at the end of the day, being able to whittle down NRX shows the resilience of both teams across the hillside. As the next circle pops up, it does once again continue down south, and it gives so much more control to the members of Fury, as Colony have been able to join up as a duo inside the circle.
Yeah, Fury, great spot right now, and you would say NRX also, but it's only the solo player for them left alive. And, well, Nam Zhao is gonna find one, and how huge is that? He's surely gonna try and finish that kill once a flood and make the numbers advantage swing slightly
Bao Nam will have heard that.
Closer, and I think Bao Nam, are they trying to get a bit aggressive now? They are. Love that from Bao Nam. They've allowed, as soon as they've heard that engagement, they've tried to deal with the Colony as quickly as possible, and well, DXG, they're there to help, and we're down to our final 4 teams.
Flood's being carried up. He's being put into a safer position. That is wasting time. They haven't quite cleared out Nam Zhao for the time being. Division X, they're being whittled down to 1. Young Boy has been revived up as far as I know. So Bao Nam are up as a full squad. That's not what Fury wants to see. NRX finally finish off. We're down to our final 3.
Well, we're going to see one of the 2 pick up their first chicken dinner, as we're down to 1 versus 1, or 4 versus 4, should I say, in terms of the 2 teams. And this is almost a replication of the zones we saw the other day between SGD and eArena, but Insight's going to clean the kill up onto God Ace as Ronan finds the knock. It's got a Bao Nam though, that's a Kobe.
Yes,
that's great from Fury. They found the knocks, they got to regress and try and find the frags. Nade after nade, Zest's going to drop as well, so is probably Logi. For the side of Bao Nam, it looks like the squad of Fury, they're just too furious.
Look for this phase 9, Zest is being knocked down. Dr. Logi, he doesn't have the medicine to stay alive, and that's going to be a Fury chicken dinner. Finally, after like 17 games, we see the PG representative pick up a beautiful, glorious, juicy, moist chicken dinner.
And I think you could see from the players' faces, 2 of the players were like, whew, breathe, we've done it, it's okay. So finally, for the side of Fury, we see them put that chicken dinner in the kill column, and that sets them up now to try and really get a bit of momentum running. And it took them a while, Imperium, but you got to say it, an impressive and a tactical and a very well calculated win indeed.
Yeah, 110%. Again, that little bit of circle look, of course, but you take that, and unlike previous games where even if they had the circle look, they would try to take too much at once in the late game, Fury were just that little bit more resilient, that little bit more held backing with, okay, we've got this, guys, and covering the backs, avoiding Colony, covering the front, picking off NRX, picking off Bao Nam players, that kind of thing, just suppressing Bao Nam. I would have been happy if Bao Nam would have won the game as well, genuinely. By no means was that kind of like a bias, hey, I really only want the Fury to win. It was just so nice to be in where one of the 2 teams remain, both teams were going into our final moments without a chicken dinner, so it was going to be a brand new chicken dinner winner. And considering the 2 teams are going to be representing themselves in PGC, it's that kind of like, yes, they can get the win. That's what we want coming into the month-long tournament.
Yeah, and we mentioned, well, we're going to see a turn of pace and a change of pace from the sides of Bao Nam and from the sides of Fury. They've got the kills done already. They're leading the way still in terms of kills. Have they got what it takes to get the chicken dinners? And finally, we're seeing them put a few on the board. And well, for the side of Fury, that's doing a great world of confidence for them, and it really come down to how well they played those phases, right? They set up shop relatively early, they rotated well, they held the zone on the phase that they needed to well, and I mean, from there, you've got to say, Fury, you would not be surprised if they pick up another chicken dinner within one of our next 2 games.
And that's the thing, right? You know, taking the joy of that first chicken dinner aside, his job is by no means done, right? You know, yes, that game will jump them up to, I believe, 6th place in the standings ahead of Made in Thailand because of the amount of kills that they have. But they're still only going to be the #1 team with 1 chicken dinner. There's still 2 teams ahead of them with 2 chicken dinners. And then you've got 3 other teams ahead of them with 3 chicken dinners. Like I said, coming into today's broadcast, for the likes of Bao Nam and Fury, realistically, they really need to get 2 chicken dinners in today's matches. We've seen 1 from Fury. I'd like to see 1 from Bao Nam in the final 2 matches, and maybe a second from one of those 2 teams.
Yeah, it's going to be an intriguing affair to say the least, but we mentioned the leaderboards on the live standings. Why don't we go ahead and take ourselves a little look at how things look here at the halfway stage in day number 5. And, well, it's Division X joint top at the moment with 70 kills from the future just behind them, and followed closely by BLISS with 66. But look at Fury, man. Up into 6, 93 kills, the 1 chicken dinner as well. And, well, for the side of Fury, you have to be saying, okay, we can most definitely do this.
Yeah, of course. They know they can do it anyway, but it being physically shown between that chicken dinner, you know, ending and on the leaderboard is it's frankly poggers, being honest. I know, cringe, but I had to say it. I'm bringing in, you know, the words of another commentator, Maxman, that I commentate with. But yeah, the Fury are very, very happy. They can be very happy with what they've done in that previous game and how they can bring it into the remaining games of today.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see indeed we will, as we are going to take a short little break here at the OC Masters 2021 PUBG, and we will be back, myself and Imperium, for that second map on ERANGEL. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the AOC Masters Tournament 2021 for PUBG. My name is John P, joined by the one and only Imperium. We've seen 2 great games thus far already, one on ERANGEL, one on Miramar, and we're heading straight back over to ERANGEL relatively soon. Gotta say, huge performance out of Fury finally, and that all comes down to the fact that they take a little change of pace and they finally decide to play for the win instead of kills.
Yes, exactly. Just a little bit more calculation, just that little bit smoother gameplay. Kind of talked about it already, and it was just a pleasure to watch them close out that game, and I'm so delighted for them. You know, I know on their social media they've kind of memed on the fact that they haven't got a chicken dinner so far in these finals, so I'm sure some kind of post will come out from their social media on them finally breaking the mold and getting a chicken dinner. But, you know, we also have to point out Bao Nam, right? They're a team that I think, if anything, have struggled more than Fury, right? Across the game so far. And it was great to see them pull out a little bit more intelligence in how they played, because the compound that they held on to was a little bit more of a pinch in my eyes on the circles that we saw compared to Fury's. But I think they really kind of played out of that extremely well by first sending Godace out and then Zest alongside with him, and I think they really dealt with that extremely well. It was just that final fight, unfortunately, that they ended up losing.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate to say the least, but hopefully, you know, these players are good enough to bite back and go again should they need to bounce back, and hopefully they can do it in this game. Moving back on to ERANGEL now. Don't know about you, but judging off of the phase 1s that we've seen already on this map, just give me another military base or give me an island end phase. I want to see it. Let's go. I'm ready, but we're jumping back into ERANGEL.
You know what? I don't want an island finish. Reverse psychology. But I'd also love to see a city finish. Something like a Yasnaya finish. Maybe Rozhok. Maybe Pachinki. We haven't really seen any of these circles in ERANGEL involve the river. And I'd love to see that kind of, you know, river testing the teams. Oh, do we go north of the river or south of the river play style? So I'd love to see a bit of a northeast river for the start of this game.
Yep, be interested indeed. But let's take a little look at that plane path as well, starting off at the southern side of the map towards the military base, and that's going all the way up to cut across the western side of the map, straight through Gatka over towards the southwestern side of Georgia Pole. So a little bit more of a stretch for those teams that have to go over towards the likes of Yasnaya, for example, in the mansion. So there's a few teams that I know like to land over there every now and then. So we'll have to wait and see how they do about getting over towards that. Pachinki, no doubt, occupied by the side of SGD and the Expendables. But I want to see Fury here. I want to see Fury. They like to drop over towards a military base. We know it's their default drop spot when it comes to the map ERANGEL. I want to see how they play off the back of that chicken dinner win and go about trying to continue to place well.
The good thing for them is that Colony have not opted to go into that military island area. They've actually dropped on a split drop in around Gatka. So automatically, they do have a little bit more space Fury to move out of that military island.
Yeah, but this is one engagement we've seen time and time again here throughout the games in the AOC Masters, and that's going to be the side of the Expendables versus SGD. Well, for the side of Expendables, they're going to draw the first blood as Livis is going to finish the kill through on to Teddy after the initial knock. So, again, Pachinki very heavily contested here, Imperium, and it surprises me still that they continue to contest this drop spot, especially when the likes of SGD, they're only one chicken dinner away from probably claiming that top spot. Would like to see them maybe change it up slightly.
Up towards the roof of the building, Shen gets a knock, and they're looking to try and keep things alive. Just a Thompson in his hands and a pocket full of trees moving from roof to roof. He's going to probably drop down and look to go for the revive onto his teammate Jarvis. However, John, we need to take a step back, because with all due respect, these two teams have been fighting in Pachinki for quite a while across all these games. Reverse psychology worked. Reverse psychology worked.
I think we're the biggest brain casters in the game at this point. We just know the map and the game so well. Like, we're gonna have finally a military base ending. Surely it's like impossible for it not to be.
Like it's one of those things where I wouldn't be surprised if I got a couple of messages of like, what the hell, bro? Seriously, bro? Really? Really? Like, why you gotta do us like that? And for some of the players, because, you know, you wanted it, I didn't want it, reverse psychology, and we both got it. So, Fury don't need to worry about moving out of Military Island, to be fair. eArena will want to think about their descent into the island. They already have I Am For Us inside the island as a bit of an anchor point, so that's really healthy. The rest of the team now starting to move away from the ferry pier, with Sissy and KM99 moving across the bridge. Lyrics is still just looting up the ferry pier area, but eArena have a great opportunity on this western side of the island to really control and dominate, pick up a couple of early kills.
Yeah, well, we usually tend to mention at times, right, that for military base endings, it's only one or the other bridge that's usually viable, worth camping to try and find some kills off of. But I would say both bridges here very most definitely in play at the moment, as we are only obviously in phase 1. As phase 2 starts to shift, we can see which one will most likely creep its way out of the zone. But I mean, the likes of BLISS, they played the bridge camp fantastically well when we saw it in a previous day or so. eArena very good at that as well. But I want to highlight one team you mentioned, Fury, right? Not only did they come off the back of the win in the last game, but we saw a very similar ending to this yesterday. It wasn't exactly bang center of military base, but we saw Fury really struggle to handle the low ground.
That's
and it was the game that eArena won, I think, initially, when it started to shift towards the power station, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and Fury, it was more the fact of how they positioned themselves inside those circles yesterday that was quite tough. Whereas this time around, they have 2 players down by the docks area on the southern side of the island. So this military island phase 1 is so heavily down south, it does make that south side a lot more accessible. Yeah. And it also makes it easier for a team like Fury to control. What I appreciate is Myth and how they've rotated into the island. You kind of highlighted that the western bridge and the eastern bridge are technically accessible. I kind of want to say actually none of them are kind of accessible, because unless you get the timing absolutely right, there's a lot of risks involved, whereas Myth's rotation from the coastline of the mainland right through to the northern coastline of the island is absolutely spot on.
Yeah, we are going to see the side of PBA. Well, we know about the struggles that they've had over the past few days as a trade for trade comes through. Monty's going to be knocked, no doubt. They want to try and get that revive as quickly as possible. It's pivotal that they stay alive here, all 4 players from the side of Team BLISS. But BBA, they are slightly further down towards the southern coastline of military base, and not with a shock there, as they usually like to play up towards that power station. I thought they played it fantastically well the other day when we saw them do that. The revive has come through though for BLISS, and Monty's all good, and it's just the squad of BBA that's got the 1 player less.
Oh man. Kingslayers going for a botation. Right now, they're kind of 2-2 split on those botations, but they're quite heavily split, which is a bit of a worry. Fury are there on that south edge to greet them, but not in a good way. We're seeing Colony making their way towards the Ferry Pier Hill to maybe look for a bit of an entry point into the circle. Right now, eArena, which I agree with, are not massively bridge camping that western bridge, because I think they recognize that with the phase 1 being so heavily down the south of the island, that you are kind of cutting off your nose to spite your tail in trying to bridge camp that bridge. You're giving up the ability to control a much better area of the military island by trying to bridge camp.
Yeah, and I like exactly what what Fury have done as well. They've decided to hug that coastline a little bit more than try and get caught inside that military base like we saw yesterday. But, well, here comes the rotation from the side of Colony. You've actually got FTF and the side of Team Extraordinaire on the bridge at the same time here as well, on the eastern side. And, well, guess what? Bao Nam's going to be joining them behind. But you mentioned the Arena weren't technically bridge camping. It seems like they still want to hold this team of Colony off.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They have people looking in that direction, but they're not focused on the 110% Division X gaming. DK, they're going to be coming in towards each other. Logfee got out of the vehicle, got back in and went, okay, wait, maybe I shouldn't be here. Takes a bit of damage, gets knocked, pays the price.
Yeah, my boy going to find the headshot onto him out of the vehicle. Akan trying to trade it back. Unfortunately, can't answer any shots there. A little bit disappointed with him there. Probably should have landed a few more tags at least. IQ 500's going to fall. DXG are going to fall. And our lobby leaders are eliminated pretty much early on. And that's a clean sweep there from the side of DK. They didn't lose a single player.
Great from DK, because they're the kind of team that have tended to lose players early on, and that hurts their late game. But that was also a bit of a cluster truck of a fight. Let's be fair. It's like both of them were rotating. Division X made a big mistake by Logfee kind of getting out of vehicle, then getting back in, and the truck on the acceleration isn't really that good, so it hurts his ability to disengage. He gets knocked, then in the fields, IQ 500 gets knocked, and in the end, it just goes horribly wrong. A game, that Division X game, will quickly want to forget. The blue zone is starting to close in. Colony have made their way across into the military island, but they're rotating deep.
Yeah.
Quite deep. Past the Arena, kind of past Kingslayers. I don't disagree with where they're going, but there was a bit of a risk involved in that rotation.
I think what it is it was sort of lucky as well, the fact that eArena was so split as well, that they couldn't really team shoot together at the same time.
Yep.
Well said. Colony, though, slipping through the gaps in the defense of eArena, and well, it pays dividend for them as they come out of it with themselves in a little bit of a better spot just towards the outskirts of that military base along that windy road. As well, Andy for BBA is going to fall as well. The rotation still coming in from PMA, and well, I don't know if it's Doomsday or not, but the side of PMA and NRX want to take things to the water apparently, as they're finding shots left, right and centre, and some great shots indeed. As you need to understand, these are some very hard shots to hit here with these boats going at full speed.
Oh yeah, incredibly hard. Like, we saw the crazy engagement between DK and Division X. We're seeing a crazy boat engagement, like something out of a James Bond film, for God's sake, between PMA and NRX. The phase 2 shifted and it's gone over towards the northwestern side of the island. So that southern side is a lot less viable. It's a lot less focused. So we're seeing both PMA and NRX realizing, wait, let's just avoid each other and both take kind of away from each other and try and get into the circle in our own respective ways, and then we'll see what happens there. But eArena's position is spot on. My only fear is that it's still, off the back of that phase 2 shift, only 2-2, and that worries me. That really worries me.
Yeah, that split could really cause costly later on. It could either work to the best of their abilities and they find some great stuff and work out of it, or it really harms them. I think it's more likely to be the latter. Well, this is a bit of a similar replication to what we just saw between the side of DXG and DK, as both teams are forced to rotate and they're just going to be forced to take some shots. 2 knocks apiece, make it 3 knocks apiece, and for the side in Made in Thailand, Team Extraordinaire are going to clean it up. The revive should come through just in the nick of time as well. And well, for Myth, unfortunately, they will not be picking up a chicken dinner here on ERANGEL. 13 teams left, 47 alive as we just hit the 12-minute stage in the time count. And I'm just taking a little look here as to the way these teams are starting to rotate. It looks like Bao Nam are actually going to elect to go up slightly further northeast and sort of wrap around the back of that military base. It looks like from the future they're just trying to occupy the actual military base itself. Colony, though, we saw them go all the way down to the southern coastline. They've got straight back up in towards the east, the western side of the military base, right in between that 2-2 split of eArena, and that's where that 2-2 split could either be great or awful.
Exactly. See, from the future, looking to take some shots for side of the likes of Team Bliss moving away. Rain returning to fire in a nice way. It's a tricky area that Bliss are in, being perfectly honest. Moving away from that in Phase 3 is definitely not going to be the easiest, depending on where it shifts, but from the future, probably in a bit of a worse position. Bao Nam are currently behind them, at least, while BBA, Astro and Boys just looking to find a bit of a ground control to Major Tom, but down he goes, and into space, back to the lobby. Bhadboyz Alliance are out of here.
Yep, Team Bliss, though, they've done a great job in terms of finding that kill, and it's crazy how at zones like this you can see the majority of the teams, it's actually only Fury. Look at this split from Fury. I'm not too sure if you've realized it towards the southern zone. It's a 2-1-1 split. That's a very risky play from Fury. Although they get a lot of control over the power spots in the southern side of this phase, they're really relying on that shift to come towards them.
Wow. And
that could really cause costly if the types of... It wouldn't surprise me if PMA just tried to crash in towards them here and flood them out.
Yeah, for sure. But with the circle shifting up north, it's a matter of whether Fury really want to take this fight against PMA. Do they need to? They might be at a place where they absolutely need to. They've at least opened that door and gotten the knock onto KMF1, but Botany, Icon DKS, and IMP are still alive. It's less likely that PMA are going to be able to do anything, even if they get the knock, because let's be fair, they came up onto this area with a boat. They don't have any vehicles. It's absolutely flat in front of them. If I were PMA, I would honestly, if it's possible, get back in the boat and rotate into another area on the coastline of Military Island, because them surviving against Fury, unless they leave it very, very late, is going to be near impossible.
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky task indeed, but it looks like they're up to at least try and give it a go. But for the side of Fury, they're definitely going to have the upper advantage in this one, and the numbers advantage also, as well as that early knock is converted into the full kill. So only a minute and a half away from we see the next shift of the phase, and that western bridge really starting to come into play here, occupying a large chunk of the northern side of the zone. You're still slightly in and around the military base area as well. eArena now, though, I like this here. They've decided to come together, and that split, it's not looking too far apart anymore.
No, it's not looking too far apart. I appreciate that eArena recognize that we can't really get to the hill from where we are, but we can at least get back from the hill to the compound. So I appreciate that, and it's paid off upon this circle shift for eArena. I also appreciate Kingslayers moving on to the top of that hill as a full squad. It's a good move on Phase 3. They're a team that I said have improved. They're being a lot more intelligent. Happy days. The Expendables, however, are in a massive pinch on this bridge. DK becoming the bridge campers as they moved into the Military Island on the previous phase off the back of eliminating the likes of Division X Gaming. The circles favoring them as Fury go back into the military base, looking to wrap in towards the eastern side of the circle through the base, a little bit protected. It's a longer rotation, it's a slower rotation, but by God, is it a pretty big brain rotation.
Yeah, one big brain rotation as well. It's got a PMA. They've done exactly what you wanted here, Imperium, as
yes,
they've used that rotation to come from the southern coastline all the way to the western coastline and swoop in behind the likes of NRX and even potentially Bao Nam. But for the side of Fury, although they do take a little bit of damage in terms of the zone hitting, it doesn't matter for them though. They've got enough to work with to get back up to full HP. And there you go, eArena bang center of the zone here as that phase drops. Is that a good or a bad thing for them though, Imperium?
Yeah, it's a great thing for them. Honestly, like, it's absolutely spot on for them. They should be able to do absolute wonders. We've seen what eArena can do in these kind of circles, in these kind of games, and I've no doubt centering up, them being in the compound, happy days. Team Extraordinaire have gone for a bit of a bold push onto the compound across the road, and so far, no casualties, but eArena certainly shooting towards them. while DK continues to bridge camp to the side of the Expendables.
I'm not too sure if the Expendables are going to expect this as well, especially they're not going to expect Limitless to be so advanced up towards the bottom of that bridge. God Ace finds 1-on-1, nice L drops Icon, and yeah, I don't think them two teams are going to know that they're actually so close together, but two teams that know that they are close together, though, are the sides of Team Extraordinaire and eArena. eArena, you'd say. Definitely in a nice spot here, provided, I mean, the only thing I can think is if that shift heavily takes it away from the center of where they are, and they got a bit of a rotation on, but PM8, they're going to fall out, unfortunately, in 12th spot via a couple of grenades. And for NRX Esports, they got to try and deal with DK.
Yeah, they do. I appreciate what PMA tried to do, really, I do. I think it was a safer of the two rotations. Unfortunately, NRX had put themselves in a good position themselves across these circles, so they deserve credit for that. We're able to help clean up the side of PMA. The Expendables pushing in, they're down to 2 across the bridge. You have Kingslayers wrapping down towards the underside of where they hold on to, looking to push back NRX, but they have Bao Nam right behind them.
Yep, indeed, and that's probably one team you don't want to be stabbing you in the back. It's one of the best teams in the event thus far, and that's going to be Bao Nam United. There you go. The engagement starts to happen. It's going to be a nade onto the feet of Jason as he falls. Isu being tagged up relatively hard as well. And this is an awful situation from Kingslayer. It really is not a bad they know, so that will force Young B to just scamper his way across the field and survive to see another day. But if you're the squad of Kingslayer here, you're really dancing with the devil. Yeah,
that angle from Zest is absolutely perfect. Hovering and dealing with the edge of the blue wonderfully, pushing back. Kingslayers 1 by 1, and Molly gets thrown out, and another one behind the rock, knowing exactly where they are. Young Boy is out, Kingslayers, they're wiped out of here. Really nothing they could do, but cleanly executed by Bao Nam.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Bao Nam. And well, for the side of them, they now turn their attentions to the squad of NRX. There's a few kills come through. Nice Aldo trades it back as Limitless, and Zaichu's gonna fall. For Bao Nam here, though, you got to try and deal with these solo players and the duo players over towards the western side of the map if you can. It looks like they want to try and edge in. It looks like they want to try and edge in towards the western side, just above where eArena are. There's a little bit of a hill here, so
exactly.
They've got to try and deal with these solo players and make sure like there's no mistakes that are made.
For sure, and that's the thing. They can't just brashly push on towards that hill because it's high ground. It kind of becomes a bit of a target. There's not too much hard cover. The good thing for them is that they have a few vehicles to play with, but sticking on foot for a little bit of time, grabbing a solo kill here or there is so valuable for Bao Nam, setting themselves up really comfortably for this late game. And that's why I highlighted eArena not bridge camping in phase 1 or not prioritizing it, because we saw DK hold on to that bridge camp against the likes of the Expendables for quite a period of time, and that only allowed them to get picked off later on because they didn't prioritize the position further in towards that military island, and NRX took them out.
Yeah, well, Zest actually killed himself with a grenade somehow. Not too sure how that's happened, so
we don't talk
Bao
about
Nam trying to make other players' lives a little bit easier. The side of BLISS, though, they're unfortunately going to fall. It was from the Future and Fury that combined to take them down, and for the side of NRX,
close.
They're going to be eliminated too.
Close.
How is he not caught one of these nades to the face yet?
Luckily, using the hard cover container to his advantage. Colony could come into play on that, by the way, as the next circle is popping up in the next 30 seconds. Bao Nam looking to clean up the expendable shots towards the smoke. Duck Shui is coming on in. Jun can do nothing about that, and Bao Nam clean that up.
Yeah, love that from Bao Nam. Very, very solid out of them. I mentioned that you've got to try and deal with these solos and duos over towards the western side of the map. They've done just that. But I want to highlight something that I absolutely love from Fury here. They sent Flood off on a huge split to play that anchor role towards the northern side of the map. And what he's pretty much said is, hey, guys, we're cool here. We're chilling. We got a nice little mountain and sort of ridge line to work with. You guys stay there. It looks like Inset's going to slightly play further towards the northeastern side as well. But that is not what they wanted, though, unfortunately, for Flood. But nothing too much to matter, though, because at the moment, the squad of Colony and Free from the future, they look like they could get in a team fight. If Fury third party this perfectly, they're going to have this all southeastern side to themselves.
Exactly, the positioning but Flood is not ideal when it comes to the circle shift, but at least they know that there's nobody to the north, so they can focus on the third party massively, and that's exactly what they're doing. Why kick a moo cow on the From the Future? Cleans up, man, and one by one they're being whittled down. Colony are eliminated. From the Future are eliminated, and you could not have said it better yourself, John. Fury, third party, like the boss asses they are. Yeah, they play absolutely fantastically. I absolutely love that. And we've seen it time and time again throughout the event, right? That people just haven't got their third parties correct. And what does that now do? Look at this whole southern side and southeastern side of the zone, even the eastern side. This is complete control for Fury, and they must know this, right? Surely. But what I love is the fact that they're still going to stick in a 2-on-2 split. They're going to allow Waikika and Makukau and Insight to go and get the information over towards the northern side. They're going to allow Flood and Ronan to play that anchor role towards the southern zone, but I think they might have taken a little bit too long. It looks like Bao Nam, they're going to go ahead and pick up this compound. Well, I don't think Fury want to go for that compound because it is on the other side of the circle, and with eArena and the side of Team Extraordinaire being so solidified, it's a risky position to play. But I like the fact that you pointed out that Fury are moving around trying to get a bit of information here, bit of information there, take advantage of the hill that they have around them coming into the next circle. We're 1 minute away from Phase 7. The final 4 teams that are left up in this lobby, it is 4v4v4v3, so some really kind of clean team fights that could happen. However, they're also in positions where they can kind of third party each other, especially if this Phase 7 kicks them all in the face.
Well, this is going to be you remember back in school when you used to do chemical reactions or whatever in the science lab, you used to put the vinegar and whatever it was, and then boom, a volcano's made. That's exactly what this four-way engagement is going to be like. As soon as someone sprinkles an inch of a gunfight anywhere, the collapse from all the other teams and the third, fourth parties will probably come through, and it will be like a domino effect. The only team that will probably try and stay away from that is Fury. It looks like they're trying to hug the edge of this eastern zone as much as possible, but you've got to think for the likes of eArena, Team Extraordinaire, and Bao Nam United, they're probably going to get... Oh, look at that for a shift, though, for Bao Nam.
It's the best for Bao Nam, but there's a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, there's a little bit of an underside on the very southern edge of the circle that Fury can rotate to. However, the timing of that rotation is incredibly difficult. I would argue they are better off waiting until like the final second to make that kind of rotation. You want to see eArena, Team Extraordinaire, and Bao Nam get a little bit focused on each other before they make that wild southern rotation.
Oh, the squad of Team Extraordinaire look like they're going to have to full send the crash over towards the side of eArena, and well, it's going to be Faros to open the affairs here as Trick, unfortunately, not got the best of Hot Wheels these days. As he flips the car, he dies, unfortunately. There we go. Bao Nam! Oh my god, they've gone huge. God, it's Dr. Logi. They found 2. Ronan there as well, last alive. The molly's going to come through. That'll probably land as well. Are we in a 1 versus 1 here, I think? Between Bao Nam and Fury.
No, it's 2v1.
It's 2v1. Bao Nam have got the kills. Somehow, they've got to try and pick up this other player, though. It's a 2 versus 1. The Expendables have actually come back, and, well, they've dropped eArena in. I told you it was going to be a domino effect. It was going to be a series of unfortunate events. And, well, let me tell you right now, we're pretty much down to a 1 versus 1 versus 1 versus 2.
Yeah, and I said that the timing of the rotation needed to be pretty on point for Fury. I think it's a tiny bit too early, but I appreciate the commitment to it as the ERANGEL are eliminated. Team Extraordinaire keep themselves up as a 3-man squad. What a turnaround for Team Extraordinaire.
Yeah, I want to mention though, Fury, they managed to grab one of the revives as well though before the full kill come through. This could be the first back-to-back we've seen here in the tournament thus far, and that will do absolute the world of good for the side of Fury, or really put them back into contention going into tomorrow, the final day worth of games. And for the side of Bao Nam, it looked so good, but it was still so far. And if you're young B, surely you got to try and grab this revive as quickly as possible. I know you've got the players around you that you don't know where they are, for example, but you better have to try to fight. This is going to be so hard, as God Ace does eventually fall just in the worst of times.
Young boy!
There's no way.
Out the window.
He's done the first!
Backstab! He finds the backstab!
That's made things interesting now, because it's a 2 versus 2, so numbers no longer in favour of the side of Fury. Expendables versus Fury. One thing to note, the winner of this have already got chicken dinners on the board, so they'll just progress themselves even further up the standings. There's the first knock. There could be the second. It's Insight down to 11 HP. The collapse on to the building surely has to come from the Expendables now, and they're going to elect to throw the nades through. The revive will be put through. Never mind. What?
Oh no!
It looks like that. Is that might be game. Insight, is he going to get it off in time? He does somehow. 13 HP. A dream, he's run straight back in. What are you doing, Insight? Insight's run straight back into the molly. Team Extraordinaire are going to find the chicken dinner. And oh dear, that is not going to be wanting to watch back from Insight there.
Insight? What the... No! Oh my lord. What a game. What a game, John. Like, oh my god, what a game. Like, I gotta give credit to Team Extraordinaire. Fully deserved it, because when they made that push on the eArena, it was honestly the only play they could make, right? They were either going to die or be... They were either going to live or be killed trying, right? And you can only respect that. The fact that they were then able to survive as a duo and turn it around off the back of them being the first to suffer a casualty against eArena is big stuff indeed. But Fury, they wasted quite a lot in clearing out Bao Nam. Unfortunately for them, they lost Ronan off a really clean play from my boy, like very clean. They had have had that extra person, like you said, the advantage could firmly have been in the favor of Fury.
I'm still lost for words as to what Insight was doing inside that Molotov. I mean,
I know.
Surely he knows how long a Molotov lasts, right? He plays the game day in and day out. It's a little bit confusing.
I don't know, but here's the thing. That might... Why he moved away and was trying to bandage up, I think that might have been another molly that was thrown in, and he kind of didn't realize. I'm really trying to give him the benefit of the doubt in that situation, because when you're a player in that really stressful situation, it's quite hard to think and yeah, okay, if you want to be the best, you need to be able to think very, very, very quickly. But we're human, right? And that kind of mistake is going to happen. It was just... it was obviously hard to watch.
Yeah, you got to be kicking yourself for sure, but you can't discredit the team of Extraordinaire, though. As soon as they got that instant knock, they collapsed and really closed the distance between the two teams, and it's so pivotal you do that in 2v2 or 1v... 3v3 situations, whatever it is. And well, for them, I think that's going to be another chicken dinner on the board, and they'll be making their way slightly further up into the leaderboards. And well, for the side of Bao Nam, though, you got to say they looked very, very good at points, but it just fell apart. And I can't remember what team it was that they fought, but they got completely wiped out. It might have been actually Fury. Yeah, I think it was Fury. But this here was the third party from Fury that was absolutely excellent.
Yeah, it was on point. It was absolutely fantastic and integral for Fury. holding on to the East and giving themselves the space to push in on the Bao Nam upon the next circle or so, and just clean play from Fury, picking up a couple of kills was absolutely spot on. And it's also ironic that when we saw that phase 7 shift, that the two teams that were initially outside the circle upon that phase 7 shift ended up being the final two teams surviving. That's kind of crazy, and it's nothing against like both Bao Nam and eArena, but it just kind of shows that, you know, circle look is kind of there, but it's not the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, I think you know, we mention as casters a lot, analysts, that sometimes you've got to get a little bit lucky when it comes to the likes of the circle, but you can sometimes try to predict it. But well, here we go. And this is how things look heading into our final game of the day from the future at top spot, followed by Division X and Bliss, or three, should I say, rather, on 3 chicken dinners. Closely behind them, Team Extraordinaire have just put their second on the board. They're just creeping in 5th behind the 4th place spot of ShuaiGeDui, and in 6th, it's eArena with 2 chicken dinners and 84 kills.
Oh man, so good. Credit and fair play to Team Extraordinaire, that chicken dinner getting them up to 5th spot on the same kills as eArena, but obviously the result from the previous game is the tiebreaker, and that's what leaves Team Extraordinaire. And Team Bliss, you know, they're good with the amount of kills that they've got. 69, my favorite number, but it is holding them back from being in first place by not being as aggressive as they maybe need to be in these games. And that's where, you know, you start to see the shift in the meta and the play styles and the adaptation from a lot of teams. Team Bliss, they kind of need to be more aggressive. They really need to realize and recognize that it's not going to be as easy entering those circles from now on.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how these teams get on in that final game, which will be on Miramar. Me and Imperium will be back after this break. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our final game of the day here at the AOC Masters Tournament for PUBG. I'm joined by the one and only Imperium once again. And, well, we've seen a fantastic set of games thus far. Fury nearly going back-to-back, Imperium. What are we expecting in this last one?
I'm expecting a Bao Nam chicken dinner. Why not? They've put themselves in top 2 and top 3 2 games in a row. That deserves credit in that regard. A chicken dinner, bring it on. Oh my god. I just realized I was muted on Discord to the point where you couldn't hear me. But
I was doing the cast and nod along, so I acted like I knew what you were talking about.
Sorry about that. Sorry, man. Because the way we have set up the broadcast, you guys, the viewers, can hear us through vMix, whereas me and John can hear each other through Discord. It's one of those things. It's a commentating thing. My apologies. I was saying that you're an amazing person and you're a wonderful, beautiful human being.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Even though I'm like a meme on the Fury Twitter page right now because I said I don't think they're going to win a game, and they literally won that same game. So, you know, it is what it is, right? That's the curse of the commentator. That's the worst thing about being a commentator. But let's go back into Miramar, baby, as we are heading into our last game. One of the most pivotal games, you could say, of the event, match 20.
Yes.
As whoever wins this can finally put a little bit of momentum running going into the last game's worth of action.
And we have seen, of course, every game so far today with different chicken dinner winners. It's been the same across the board. No single day has had more than one team winning, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah, we've not seen a back-to-back. We've not seen a back-to-back yet.
Or even not necessarily like a back-to-back, but even
just like the same team winning in one day.
Yeah, as far as I know,
I don't think we have. I think the closest to that we've got is From the Future winning in consecutive days. I think that's the closest we've got to it. But not a bad playing path here to start things off. Imperium. It's going from the north to the south, just clipping the eastern border of Los Leones and La Benita. So, what are we expecting in this last game? What are we expecting? Are we expecting a little bit more of a slow-paced game? The likes of Fury, for example, trying to put yet another win on the board? Or
Well, it's definitely been a bit of a trend where the final game of the day tends to be a little bit more slow-paced. I don't think these games have been massively fast-paced across today compared to previous days, and I think that's massively a part of these teams becoming naturally more comfortable, more familiar with each other. They're learning to counter each other a little bit more, rotate around each other to an extent. But I'm expecting, a little bit more of an exclusively passive final match of the day. The phase on circle will, of course, be a big brunt of what does happen. As Fury, White Kick, and Moo Cow trying to take a couple of shots on towards one of the NXR players, or at least 2 that are floating down below from them. And NXR with a big split outside of Los Leones, a risky split as well, to be perfectly honest, and they might end up paying a big price for that as ERANGEL is knocked down at the hands of Flood. But the phase 1, John, it's a good phase 1. It's a little bit on the east. Just to put it out there, the island is in play. I'm just putting it out there.
No, it's not gonna be an island end game.
No, it's not going to be an island end zone. It's totally not going to be an island end zone. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But I really like this kind of circle on the eastern side of the map.
Yeah, it's probably we've seen this sort of similar zone over the past few days or so, and it's probably made for some of the best sort of viewing places. There's a lot of ridgy and rocky cliffs around, you know, those big mountains as well to play off in and around, where just above, just underneath where the likes of the Expendables are and PMA also. It definitely makes for a good viewing pleasure as well. But there is still obviously a lot of time left in this game. NRX are going to lose, unfortunately, one of their players early on to a knock. It's not been revived just yet, not been confirmed, so time will tell if they're going to get all of their players back up into this one. But These are our current leading winner chicken dinners, you could say, off the back of the last game, looking to try and go one better and take the overall live standings top spot. And for the side of NRX, that kill does get confirmed, and it's going to be Flood to open the picket.
Say, open the floodgates.
Anyway, I like it.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I said I'm here till tomorrow.
I'm here all week.
PMA are naturally and automatically good spot dropping in Impala, John. They'll be able to use that. They already have started a bit of a spread with KNF1 kind of being a bit of an anchor point to a more central phase 1 position. Junkyard and the kind of Minas Generalis hills are going to be quite valuable. And then the south part just north of Porto Priso are so good to hold on to in this kind of phase 1. Again, similar to the first Miramar game, even though it's not as heavily to the east, the north and south side of this circle are just great to be able to play around and move into the phase 2, phase 3.
Yes, we are going to have to wait and see how those phase 2, phase 3, and even phase 4 start to take shape, as we'll see those shifts come into play very soon, about a minute until that blue starts to creep its way in towards these players. And I'm just thinking in terms of across the board in the Miramar games that we've seen, what teams have impressed me. The likes of eArena come to mind. You could even throw the likes of Team BLISS in there. Fury played quite solidly on this map. They obviously picked up the win on it. Even Made in Thailand and Colony. Would you say, are there any teams here in this live standings that you could sort of bank on not winning the event?
Oh, on not winning the event?
Yeah, like, right, because I think if you look at the live standings, anyone inside the top 10 you could probably say still is within a chance, right?
Yeah, I would say PMA downwards, because you, even though BN don't have a chicken dinner, you really can't count them out. You can't. They're playing in PGC. To count them out would be just honestly kind of stupid. Even though, don't get me wrong, a team is only as good as how they're currently playing. It's PGC, like, right? It's just, no. You just don't count them out. But PMA downwards, I just don't think those teams have showed enough fight, enough improvement, enough of an evolution, despite me crediting the likes of Kingslayers on how they have improved. Just not enough to be able to get more than maybe one chicken dinner when you have like the top 2, top 3 teams getting 3 chicken dinners and there's only now 5 matches left. That becomes so much more difficult for those teams. It's a good question you asked, John. Yeah,
it's always hard. I mean, because PUBG is such an unpredictable, game. Battle royales in general are so unpredictable in terms of it only takes think about it logically. Even if you look at BBA, who are bottom of the standings, if they win 4 games in a row, they win the competition, right, with the least amount of kills. So it's always never say never in the game of Battle Royale and PUBG in particular, but I do agree with you. Anyone below PMA, I would say, is probably a very much a long shot. I'd even probably try and I'd probably say anyone below Fury, to be honest with you. Yeah. I think Fury out of the teams with 1 chicken dinner are probably the only team that could pop off and probably get a few in a row.
Like, if this was the super settings rule where placement points and kill points came into the mix, I would have a much different story to tell and a much different answer. But with how the rule is in place of it's the team with the most chicken dinners, unfortunately there has to be a much harsher cutoff point. I tried to take the attitude of it's not over till the fat lady sings, it's not over till it's actually over. But this rule set does make that cutoff point just so much more obvious. DK, in a bit of a 3-1 spread, looking good outside of La Medina. This kind of compound is great for phase 1 because it's very flat around you, so they're able to really throw out a shot here, throw out a shot there, maybe suppress and manipulate a little bit of traffic around them coming into phase 2. So if it shifts harshly away from them and they need to reposition quickly, it's a lot easier for them to do so.
Yeah, and I feel like we don't see teams do that enough as well. I feel like sometimes teams will just bank on themselves being good individual players or a good team based off the rotations, but sometimes it's good. It's just good to try and expect the unexpected and get slightly set up or predict the rotation sooner rather than later. But for the side of Fury, their split right now is pretty perfect, to be totally honest with you. You've got 1-2-1 split with Waikiki Macau over towards Los Leonas, flooding inside, just lurking outside the northern side of it. You've got Ronan over towards the sort of ridge lines as well.
Yeah.
This is a very nice split here. I like this a lot. It gives a lot of control to the side of Fury over this sort of south side of the map.
Waikiki Macau, he is rotating because I think his position in Los Leones was honestly quite useless. So him getting closer to what seems to be kind of insight now is a lot more valuable. Maybe Ronan, to be honest, to make a bit of a 1-1-2 with 2 in the front line. But overall, I definitely agree with you in terms of Flood's position towards this phase 1. Team BLISS are in a pretty good spot on that northwestern side. Outside of Junkyard, it's a great spread to hold on to. They have Bhadboyz Alliance in front of them, but you can see that Bhadboyz are a little bit more heavily spread, and they're only joining these lobbies as a 3-person team, which is a bit of a shame. So Team BLISS should be able to control them in a bit of a solid way. The only thing that Team BLISS, of course, need to worry about is the teams to the west or the southwest of where they are, like the Expendables. Maybe a team wrapping in behind them, such as Division X or Colony.
I think Colony's a team that we mentioned and highlighted many a times that usually play consistently well. Their rotations aren't too bad either. At least 9 times out of 10 they're not. So definitely the potential in that one, but well, for the side of Made in Thailand, they are going to elect to get in those vehicles and get themselves over towards La Bonita, as they're trying to get themselves set up a little bit better. And I've been really impressed with eArena's rotations today and their spreads and their sets. Right now they're over towards Impala on the eastern side of the zone, just hugging sort of the shoreline and the cliff line of the bottom of the road. And it looks like they're going to go for probably a 1-2-1 split as well to try and control this southeastern region. But NRX, though, they've creeped all the way around the back of Los Leonas, and they're coming into the south side of it as well.
Yeah, like, really not as many teams opted to go for that kind of north hill of Puerto Prisa that I highlighted in phase 1. There's reasons for that, because it's generally a less rotated area in terms of drop spots and rotational path lines. So if you go there too early, you're also not getting that much information. So I kind of get it. But of course, with phase 2 shifting down south, it has left that area of the map wide open for the likes of eArena and NRX to push in and solidify themselves with. Fury do need to be aware that their split becomes a little bit riskier with that phase 2 shift down south. DK kind of getting a little bit in between. You got Kingslayers to the west of them. Just to be a little bit aware that Fury, I'd nearly prefer 3-1 on this phase 2 based on where they're positioned.
It's always hard, right? It's always hard to decide in the way you split. It's such a tough decision to make, whether it's a 3-1 or 1-2-1 or a 2-2. It's so hard. And just the fact that you can sometimes have the extra player with you in a 2-2, or just the 2 extra players if you're in a 3-1 and leave that solo player on his own. It's such a difficult decision to make, and sometimes it can prove costly, but nothing too much to worry about yet in terms of these players across the board and their splits. Speaking of splits, it looks like the side of Team BLISS, they're going to start to rotate their way in, led by the anchor of Monty, as they've got over towards the compound at the bottom of Impala. And, well, Colony, you said they could try and come home behind the northern side. They've actually wrapped all the way over to the northeast. They've gone past the side of PMA and BBA. This is a very risky rotation. They're leaving themselves wide open.
Now, I appreciate that they have gone where they've kind of wanted to go. That dip is pretty decent in terms of protecting against Impala, but it's also at risk of nades. The fact that they're separated is also pretty good, and they're recognizing that it's not the best place to be. So off the back of throwing out a little bit of a nade, a little bit of a smoke, they've gone, okay, let's just move. Let's keep rotating. We'll find a better spot down on towards that southeast. Between Team Bliss and eArena shooting at them, it's a little bit trickier. You can see that Colony, their vehicle is smoking up. Rain nearly blowing that bad boy up. Not quite the case as we are getting into phase 3, and it has gone down the southeastern side. Colony able to hold on as a full squad will benefit massively with that phase 3 shift.
Yeah, like that a lot. The risky rotation seems to have paid off as of now. You've also got to look at the likes of Team Bliss. They seem to be set up quite well as well. It's going to be Bhadboyz Alliance trying to hold this squad off of PMA and eArena. They're going for an equally risky rotation. Both players have decided to just steam on their way down that road and get closer to their other duo. So it's gone from a 2-2 split to a 4-player stack for them. A lot of risky rotations here from either teams, to be honest with you. There's a lot of open ground. DK, DK is stranded right now. They're in an awful spot.
And that's why I appreciate that Fury did, even though it's not like 3-1 like it suggested, it's a really strong 2-2 split from Fury. Like, a really strong 2-2 split. And they've been tracking DK for quite a while. I don't even know why DK made that rotation, to be perfectly honest. Well, we look at ShuaiGeDui, looking to punish Division X Gaming. They've gotten 2 kills with the Expendables coming in to get a third. That leaves the KG down to just that one player, Akan, and he kind of really has nowhere to go. Luckily for him, Bao Nam come into third party ShuaiGeDui.
Yeah, Bao Nam played his third party fantastically. They're going to find the team wipe as well sooner rather than later. Zest finds the kill onto Upture, and it's all up to Jervis, who instantly everyone's going to turn their attention onto that lone car. But perfect play upon the third party there for the side of Bao Nam. That's the side of Bao Nam we want to see. That's the type of Bao Nam we need to see. We've been missing throughout the competition. The smart, intelligent players that they are to just let people do the hard work, come behind, see you later, ShuaiGeDui. They're unfortunately going to be eliminated here as they bow in 16th spot, which is not the best of situations for them to end the game, and considering they did lead the life standing boards for so long. As I'm just trying to take a little look at the map here as to see where people are coming from and sort of the setups. Bao Nam, they are going to have to try and deal with the side of the Expendables though.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a it's tough because if they go up towards the north, not only are the myth there outside the circle, but it's very flat terrain where the 2-person split of Fury really comes into play. So really their only proper entry point is through that kind of northwest to the western side of this circle. So we'll have to see how they play that. Made in Thailand, they're going to push in. They realize that coming in through the north on the open field was a no-show. So they were like, okay, let's just push in and we'll take the fight against whoever's there. Job done. And that's what they do. They don't fully win the fight, but again, what I love about Made in Thailand is that every single move they make, they play it with purpose, and they put 110% into it.
They're a team that just commit to it, right? Like, there are different types of teams that will try to let one player go out and get control. The side of Made in Thailand, they'd rather just use the strength in numbers and try and force their way into the right positionings, but sometimes you can come up short, and well, it's up to Thanawat left alive, and Esquiluso is currently going to be revived in just the nick of time. Jacob's still alive in that smoke, finds one, but the trade comes through. Thanawat's there, and unfortunately, Team Extraordinaire are going to bow out here in 15th place. And I love this though from Bao Nam. Have you seen what Bao Nam have done? There's a 3-1 split here from Bao Nam. They're trying to focus towards the likes of the Expendables, but they've left Youngbeat all the way up towards the north, and I think they're going to try and wait for the engagements from the likes of From the Fire and Fury over towards Myth, clean those kills up on the third party, and then try and grab this spot for their own.
And what I love about Fury and both the Expendables was there was this kind of like beautiful synergy of Fury off the back of the circle centering up, where 2 of their players who were in towards the open compound had the circle, so they put the whole squad there, right? But the compound that the 2-man team moved from the Expendables went on to, because they were outside the circle. So it's just that beautiful synergy between those two teams, unwittingly, as King Sayers go down and Colony pick up a couple of kills on that south side.
Yeah, unfortunately, look, for the side of Colony, they're not going to be alive for too much longer. Dr. Logi is going to fall. Escalusia falls as well. And for the side of Bao Nam, it's a 1-for-1 trade, unfortunately. I think Zest somehow ducking and dodging his way into
third
survival.
Party from Fury.
Yeah, this is great. It's great third party and from Fury, and it's something we saw them do successfully well in the game that they won on Miramar, in terms of knowing where to push and when to push. And they've gone for a slower paced style of game now, which I think is starting to suit them slightly more, because these people, this team of Fury, they're already on 102 kills.
Yeah, it's wild. It's actually wild how many kills they have. Like, it's kind of disgusting, being perfectly honest, hitting the 100 kill mark in 20 games or 19 games.
Well, that's like averaging
honest,
what? Like it's literally averaging 5 kills a game, right? Like, yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, 24. Yeah, it's actually ridiculous, like disgustingly ridiculous. But they still have to close out another chicken dinner to really put themselves in a position of being a massive threat in tomorrow's final 4 matches, because with only one chicken dinner in tomorrow, leaves it with a tough task, because Bao Nam are eliminated at the hands of Myth. Holding on is so important, but look at Fury. Off the back of this circle shift, their compound is still in play, but they recognize that, hey, we could deal with the team that's behind us. Then we have so much more control on that north side, and we can focus on the likes of From the Future, DK, Team Bliss as an example. So I really appreciate that from White Kick the Moo Cow, and of course Ronan.
To wait and see, as Ronan is going to try and finish that player off with a nade. He's got his teammate Waikik and Macau there as well. And there we go. Mention that player Ronan trying to finish the kill off, and does indeed. And but we're down to our 11 remaining teams. The side of Bliss, though, still good, as the 4-man lineup for them are still very much alive and kicking. They're using this height advantage towards the bottom side of the road. The Expendables, they're going to drop out NRXs. For them, it's their tournament probably done. If you're PMA, again, you're looking to try and win this game and mount some momentum into tomorrow. Flood, so good at long-range shooting. 8-time scope, obviously, it helps him with the Mini 14, but it's just so consistent.
Let's be fair. Fury are in the goddamn best position of this game right now. Goddamn. Because even if the circle shifts away, they're able to do so much work from a distance, and all the other teams are taking each other out, that when it's all said and done, and even if the next circle shifts away, Fury will have so much space around them to push, and they'll have all the information in front of them. Team Bliss holding on. PMA are eliminated, and if Rain can get that double revive, that would be so valuable of keeping Team Bliss in a position of taking a chicken dinner.
I think he might be able to get that double revive off as well. But Flood, though, for the side of Fury, and just look at the confidence from Fury. They're still 2-2 split, even though we're heading into...
They're not relying on the compound.
Phase 5. They're just trying to get as much control. Oh, Insight. It's so smart. It's just so smart. It's honestly, it's fantastic from Insight to not even bother shooting a bullet. Wait for the nade to land, spray at the same time. Ronan does get caught with his pants down, though, as Mastodon finds the trade. And Insight, if he can pick up this kill, the squad of Fury are looking fantastic. The Expendables, they're going to fall. It was Colony who took those out. And
there you go.
He's been spotted. There you go. That's great. I think the revive will come through onto Ronan as well quite comfortably. There's no one around them apart from the side of DK, but they did fall, of course. And I mean, this is looking like a clinic right now. This is a clinic from Fury.
It is. It's like when you see plays like that, you're like, yeah, that's why they're in PGC, right? It just simple decisions like not relying on the compound is so good. It's so goddamn good, because look at that circle shift. Yes, they still have the corner of their compound in a circle, but because they spent the last 5 minutes being beautifully proactive, taking down Myth, taking down DK, their job is so much easier in the 22-minute mark in that late game where we're down to only 5 teams, 18 players.
18 players left, and well, for the side of Fury, 4 of them are theirs, as Flood, he's so good at the tap firing, honestly. As Insight's going to try and find one as well. And I just still love the fact that they're really not relying on that compound. They're sending 2 players out to be so aggressive as well. The side of BLISS, though, they have got from the future towards their northern side. They've got... This is actually going to be a brilliant end zone. We've got 5 players. We've got probably a 4v4v4 at one point. This is going to be a brilliant end to the game.
It really is. eArena have a tough job in front of them because Colony are kind of bearing down on them and really slowing them down, being honest. And yeah, okay, the blue zone will hit Colony first, but that really hurts eArena's position of pushing across the road in a bit of a calm way. And at that point, they might get targeted by the likes of the BLISS or, you know, Fury. So it's really not easy for eArena. It doesn't hurt that they have 2 players knocked down.
Yes, Colony, though, is trying to make the surge forward. It doesn't matter because, well, Fury are there playing once again the third party to perfection. And it's crazy. You've got 2 duos on the side of Fury fighting 2 different fights. And they are just cleaning house no matter what. Sissy, though, the last... Well, not the last player. He has got Farrells to work with. Sorry, one of the last players, though, for the side of eArena. Trying to find the nade. Doesn't. Flood finally knocks Hikaru. And for the side of From the Future, you're down to 2 remaining players. eArena also. This is looking like it could be Fury being good for it.
Oh, wow. Jesus, Sissy clutching that up absolutely wonderfully against Colony. I was not expecting that. Sorry about that reaction, but I just didn't think he'd be able to clutch it up because Colony had done such a good job of kind of whittling down the players from eArena from kind of a bit of a tougher position. So fair play to Colony, but good survival and clutch from Sissy.
Fury, though, still looking probably the strongest here in this final game of the day, as we have got one more set of games for you tomorrow. Matches 21 through to 24. You guys are not going to want to miss it, trust me, as we'll find the conclusion and crown the winner of the OC Masters 2021 for PUBG. And just trying to take a little look at the spread across the zone here. You've still got a lot of control from Fury on this western side. Man and YQQ for the side of From the Fire. They're quite split, not looking too good. And I think if anyone's going to try and stop Fury in this game, it's probably going to have to be BLISS.
Well, this circle shift is perfect for Team BLISS. They couldn't ask for a better shift because they can play that Ridge spot on. Fury do have a bit of a tougher task now. Ronan and Whitekick and Mukau do move a little bit more forward because there's a kind of lower dip, but let's be fair, eArena are holding them back. And both these teams are in a position where if they overextend, they can get third party by either Team BLISS or From the Future. However, From the Future don't look to be in a spot to be aggressive right now. So I think if there's going to be any kind of 3-way dance, it's going to be between Fury, Team BLISS, and eArena.
A little bit worried, though, for BLISS. It sort of reminds me of that chopstick ending and the sort of dip that they were stuck in throughout that game. They managed to dig their way out of that one, but I think it's a slightly different situation. I'd probably say that the dip actually favours them this time towards the backside of the Eastern Road. And, well, as we hit our 27-minute mark here in our final game of the day, we are going to be back tomorrow for more games, so make sure you tune in at the same time. It's going to be Faros trying to take some shots over towards Insight. And I'm trying to think of how Fury are going to go about. Oh, look at this. I think for a second I thought Fury were going to go over towards the north and try and wrap behind the players from FTF, but luckily, though, for the side of eArena, they have got those vehicles to play with.
So do Fury. They have a couple of vehicles to move with. They're opting to abandoning it, at least between Flood and Inside. It looks like it. Kind of looks like it. Waikikamuko and eArena, they're going to be firing on up, and I kind of don't get why eArena pushed on in, but I definitely appreciate the fact that they went for it, but they pay the price, and this makes the end game so much easier for Fury.
It makes it easy, but they've got one knocked, and a couple players are relatively low as well. Team BLISS, though, going to try and take advantage of that if they can. I think that player from Fury should be revived okay, though. He is, and It was Ronan, though. Ronan's still relatively low. If you're from the future, though, you got to try and... He's crawling. I don't think he's going to make it. I'm a little bit worried for the side of from the future. IQQ trying to take some shots over towards Ronan. The revive should come through.
Yeah, it's good for YQQ. That's going to be a couple of knocks from Y kicking Mukau onto Team Bliss. Team Bliss knew they had to move around, and their only real viability is getting the fight on towards the members of From the Future. There's that tiny bit of a hill that they're able to move around, but the casualties have been suffered. Flood gets one knock onto the members of From the Future. It's just Man left on his own.
Yeah, it looks like Fury should really have this one in the bag, to be totally honest with you. Oh, that's a great nade from Man. Well, here we go then. 4 versus 2. Fury versus Bliss. As Fury, they look to go the first team to win 2 games within one day. Unfortunately, it's not going to be back-to-back, but a very solid performance out of them indeed. Monty, though, you want a player that can pick up kills, it's definitely him. You've got Bryn to work with as well, but surely the side of Fury just collapsing together. They trade the kills, they win the game, and then it's like that's exactly what they want to do.
Absolutely wonderfully executed game from the side of Fury. Monty and Bryn, you got 2 Australian teams going up against each other. Very experienced against each other as they look to play in towards the final moments. Nades are reigning supreme. The mini red zone is being set up, but you can also see that Fury are not taking this for granted. Technically, they don't need to move any further. The blue zone is doing the work for them.
Yeah, you can see the rotation though from Bliss start to come in. Monty, though, is left on his own as Bryn falls to the blue. And, well, although he does find Kukao inside, isn't going to drop as Flood's there to trade. And Fury, they get their second chicken dinner of the day.
Quarantining from a hotel in South Korea as they prepare for PGC. We questioned their ability to close out these games. We didn't question their ability to frag out, as they proved up until today's games that they could get kill after kill after kill. Well, finally, they answer the call. Finally, they break that mold, and as soon as they break down the wall, the floodgates open up, and they end today with the chicken dinner, with a double chicken dinner, and they set their sights firmly on that first place with 4 more games to go tomorrow. It's a fantastic win from Fury.
Yeah, it's brilliant play from Fury, honestly, and they dictated that whole game. They played it flawlessly. The confidence was flowing. They played a 2-on-2 split pretty much for that whole entire game at times, which is absolutely ludicrous. But this was Bao Nam starting thing off with SGD.
Guess how many kills Fury got in that game? Guess.
20, maybe? I would
Not
say.
far off. 17.
Yeah, they were just taking every single fight. It was crazy. It's honestly ridiculous.
Like, I know the highlights are up, but honestly, I just can't help but feel like it was straight out the Fury show. It was the Fury show. They were so proactive on that position. The 2-2 split here, the 2-2 split there, the compound hold, the movement out, dealing with Myth, dealing with DK. Every single fight they took, there was a reason behind it. There was a 2-minute head start purpose behind it, and you know, their gameplay was just so good. Nothing else in this game pales. Everything in this game pales compared to Fury's play in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on your head, and I couldn't say it better myself. You know, sometimes you can get carried away by, you know, sort of talking about a team for too long, but I don't think you can't say anything about how good Fury were. Even this here, just the knowledge from inside to just throw the nade. There's no point wasting your ammo. There's no point trying to reveal your location. The nade hits, he sprays to confirm the kills, and it was just so good from Fury across the board. The confidence was flowing. It was kill after kill from them. They third-partied fantastically well, and unfortunately, though, for the side of Bliss, who was left in that 4 versus 2, things just couldn't go right.
And I'm definitely going to message Insight today, because I really want to know if this was part of their plan all along, right? To plant the foundation of kills across the first 3 to 4 days, and then in the final 2 days to kind of focus a bit more on the end game, on closing out the chicken dinners, because right now they're in a position of as we get to the leaderboard, of having well over 100 kills. So if they get one more chicken dinner, of course you're kind of relying on BLISS from the future in Division X Gaming not getting another chicken dinner. But my point is, Fury gets one chicken dinner tomorrow, they're automatically in first by like 30 kills. 170 for Fury with 2 chicken dinners. Insane.
I'm calling it now. Fury win the first game, Fury win the second game, back-to-backs, and then I think BLISS or From the Future will win the third.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go into the final game in sort of like a 3 or 4 horse race with people that can win the event. But wow, what a fantastic day of PUBG action, in particular for Fury as well. They've really set them up with some nice play to go into tomorrow, the final day, unfortunately, of the AOC Masters Tournament 2021. And I'm excited for it. I know you are, Imperium. We're going to be back here at the same time tomorrow. So for all you people watching at home, make sure you're here at the same time tomorrow. I'm not going to give you the time zone because it will probably be absolutely incorrect from my point of view.
Same time, same place. Basically.
Same time, same place. Me and Imperium. We'll see you tomorrow.